Check 1 2, check 1 2. I feel like it's been a while since I did this. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Hey everyone, welcome. My name's Ruka, and I'm back from my it feels like a very short vacation. But anyway, before we get started, uh hey GNG, welcome. Rune, welcome. How's it going? How's it going, everyone? But yeah, um as the sign says, I am back, and I wish I wasn't. I feel like I feel like this was the same kind of issue last time 6 months ago. I I'm reminded that I went on a trip back in October, and well, that one's a little different. That one was actually quite a bit longer trip, and coming back from that one was a lot different than coming back from this one. But yeah, how you guys been for the past couple weeks? I know, I know it's been a bit quiet in the channel, but if you've been following the Twitter, or at least seen some pictures from Twitter, I've posted quite a bit of pictures on there. I did think about putting them on Instagram at one point, and I think I put some on Instagram, but the Instagram UI is a little bit different, and you can't really schedule anything on there easily, or like make drafts and save them. Yeah, I don't think you can really do that. So it's a lot more difficult to use. So I'm inclined not to use it. Fair stopped bakery for a while after buckshot roulette sucked me in. Yeah, I've been noticing a lot of buckshot roulette streams recently. I haven't been really keeping up with what everyone else is streaming, but I've seen a little bit of buckshot roulette. I've seen a little bit of, actually not a whole lot of the new, what was that thing called? Uh Crap. I like this series, so it's like Sucker for Love. Sucker for Love, I think, came up just recently. Like maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe during when I went on the trip. Sucker for Love 2, A Date to Die For came up. Yeah, I do want to play. We did play the demo before, and I do have the full version, so I need to find time to do that. Maybe this week. Maybe this week. We'll see. Recommended, and That's Not My Neighbor. What's that? That's Not My Neighbor. I'm gonna have to look that up. Let's see. Opening Steam right now. That's Not My Neighbor. Wait. Uh, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Is that somewhere else? That's Not My Neighbor. Papers, Please, Analog Horror. Oh, it's on itch. Play online without download. That's Not My Neighbor. I haven't seen anything about this, so I'm gonna put that on my to look into list for now. Buckshot Roulette, I feel like that came out a while ago, didn't it? Like a few months ago. So why is it only picking up now? It's weird. Stream, what catches on for stream is weird. I looked into it a little bit, but I'm honestly not sure what it does. I guess you trade stuff in try not to get shot in Russian roulette. I don't know. I didn't really see much, but that's the gist of what I see. By a few streamers, then really took off. That's usually how it works, right? Hey, Drag Rush, welcome. How's it going? How's it going? I'm just trying to like catch up on what everyone's been up to for the past couple of weeks, and yeah, and then we'll get into the trip stuff. Basically, statistics with a shotgun. I do like my statistics, and I kind of like shotguns, so maybe we'll look into. I do have it on wish list, and it is ridiculously cheap even on wish list, even when not on sale, I should say. April 4? Really? Has it only been out for that long? I feel like it's been out longer than that. Life is pain, but other than that, it's all good. Life is kuyashi, apparently. I'm just referencing a Blue Archive meme because I've been kind of deep in Blue Archive for a while. But yeah. Well, hope it gets better for you guys. Okaeri kono. Wait, is it? What was it? I don't think I recognize that kanji. Hold up, Mars. I know you're trying to trip me up, but hold up, Mars. A sec. Deep L. What does this say? Ah! Oh wait, you can't hear that. Let's try that again.
Welcome back, you son of a bitch.
おかえりこの野郎.
Ah, okay, so that's what it says. That's what it says. I haven't gotten that kanji. Wait, yeah. Oh yeah, that is yakyu. I know yakyu, but yaro? Yaro? Yeah. That's what Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably try Buckshot Roulette at some point. It does seem like it might be my thing. It's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to like make a schedule for the next couple of weeks, and already I'm seeing maybe. I know we have to pick up a lot of stuff up again since I left. We gotta continue bakery, which is not gonna happen until next week. Bakery's probably not gonna happen next week because tomorrow, if I stream tomorrow, I'm still not sure if I'm gonna stream tomorrow, but if I stream tomorrow, it's not gonna be bakery. I'm not sure if I mentioned this to anyone, and I mean I may have mentioned it a little bit, but let me just show you what my wanikani is like right now. Can I actually show it here? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Let's see. This is my wanikani live right now. I'm not sure if you see this gigantic number, 991 reviews that's been piling up for the past couple of weeks, and I haven't touched it. And that's not because I'm intentionally trying to get it to 1,000, which is going to hit 1,000 in about a few hours. But it's also because I'm still kind of in vacation mode, and I really, really do not want to touch anything remotely work-related. Except I had to make thumbnails for this stream and stuff I want to do during the week. So maybe I did stuff work-related, but at least that doesn't require as much brain power compared to trying to memorize 1,000 kanji and vocabulary words. So that's yeah. I mean, you see the kanji for some things, and you didn't think, wait, there's actually kanji for this. I will say though, Kimi and wait, did Omae come up in Wanikani? Kimi came up in Wanikani, and I guess that's kind of informal, but it's all I feel like that's kind of rude. Kisama, it hasn't come up. Kisama has not come up. By the way, I am currently sorry for my throat. I'm drinking tea, and this happens almost every single time I drink tea. But speaking of the tea, I'm currently trying a new tea in... That picture's way too big. Transform, fit to screen. I'm trying a new tea that I got in Japan, and this is like a roasted corn tea. Apparently, this also exists in Korea, though the teas I got from Korea were the honey citron tea. You can actually get honey citron tea in the States if you live in a place where they actually sell the thing in grocery stores. But roasted corn tea is not something I've seen, but apparently it's also really popular in Korea. Yeah, roasted corn. Hokkaido. So let me just go over really quick the places I visited, and then I'll go into more detail. but, so, but so this past couple of weeks has been weird. But suffice to say, I went to Korea for a couple of days, and also visited Hokkaido for a little bit. Now, in my previous trip, I did drop by Hokkaido, but the thing is, I got sick during that time that I visited back in October and November, and basically those entire 5 days I was more or less sick. So Hokkaido revenge trip went a little bit better. However, it did not go. it there were things that happened, and I mean, I was gonna visit Hokkaido a third time anyway, but I'm gonna have to visit Hakodate in particular a third time eventually, because weather screwed me up, more or less. Apparently, a lot of things happened with weather during this trip, and so Korea was a really short trip of like 2 full days there, and then the next day went to Japan. But however, it was supposed to be 3 full days, and going to Korea, flying from where I am to an airport that actually has the plane to fly to Korea. I ran into a I ran into a storm. I ran into a storm that basically had to divert the plane towards Mexico just to avoid it. Like, can you please fly through the storm instead? I know people have done that before, but apparently really dangerous, and only need to be done if you absolutely have to. But anyway, there was a storm apparently that was in the middle of the U.S., and the plane had to like fly around it towards Mexico, which added like an hour plus to the flight. And because of that, I missed my connection. So yeah, I missed my connection to Korea, and I had to stay one more day in the U.S. I had to rebook the flight for the next day because they only fly one flight to Korea each day, and rebook it for the next day. So I lost one day because of the delayed flight, and I was really frustrated at the time because of that. And I had a feeling something weird was gonna happen throughout the entire thing. How easy is it for you to just walk around and use English for your Korean trip? Not too bad, actually. The subway system in Korea is pretty easy to navigate. Probably a lot easier to navigate than Japan, surprisingly. And when I say Korea, I mean Seoul. I only went to Seoul in this trip. I only had 2 days anyway, so couldn't go anywhere else. But if you think about Korea, where do you think you would go anyway? Tell me this, guys. If you ever visit Korea, where would you go? Because the only place I can think of is Seoul, and maybe Busan. I don't know anything about Busan, but a lot of people talk about Busan. And also Jeju. And Jeju is apparently the holiday spot in Korea where seafood is not a thing, but apparently pig is pork. They do barbecued pork, really nice down there. So yeah, that's basically what Jeju is. I don't know what I think they also have some nature there, but I don't hear that as much as compared to the pork barbecue. But actually navigating Korea with just English is not too bad. The fluency, at least in Seoul, for English is a little bit better than it is in Tokyo. And I don't know if that says something about Korea's Korea's, I don't know, learning curve compared to Japan when it comes to English. I know they're more active about it in Korea than they are in Japan. But yeah, not too bad actually, not too bad. And the pronunciation's actually pretty good. Actually pretty good. Meanwhile, if you talk to someone in Japan and they actually know how to speak in English or are confident enough to talk in English, it's like, yeah, it's sometimes you can't understand them, but I will say though that the one thing that Korea and Japan does have in common when it comes to English is they cannot pronounce the L's and R's. Well, they can't pronounce R's. It ends up sounding an L. Sanakji. No, did not get a chance to see Sanakji. I didn't even see a fish market the entire time. In place of Sanakji, though, I did get live squid in Hakodate in Japan. So kind of, sort of, but not really. But I get it. It's different. I heard in South Korea they put a lot of heavy requirement having good English scores. I think that you might be correct there, just because it's I feel like at least with most places that seems to be the case. Though the first restaurant I went to on that night to in Seoul, the Ajimas. I'm gonna call them Ajima because they're like basically aunties that run the restaurant. Didn't seem to have much English proficiency, but then again, they're kind of the older side, so I understand where that's coming from. Let me see if I can get a picture of the. Wait, how do I do this again? Wait, okay, let me pull this up. I click on this picture. We shrink that. I can either do the pictures one by one or we do this window capture style, and I think I'm gonna do it window capture style. Here we go. Here we go. You're gonna see file names. You're gonna see the window, but this is basically how it's gonna be. And I do have a lot of food pictures. I sorted out a lot of pictures to show on stream, and I pretty much 80% food pictures. I think I might have to go into my raw folder at some point to pick out non-food pictures to show you guys. So, but yeah, first night in Korea. So I was in an area in Seoul that apparently seemed okay. I think I should back up a little bit. I think I should back up a little because it's there's a lot of things I noticed in Korea that has a lot of parallels to a lot of Korean games that I've been seeing, particularly the Project Moon series. Has anyone here played Limbus Company or Library of Ruina at the very least? Lobotomy Corporation is also part of that series, but it doesn't really have much lore building there. Okay. You must have been eating real good in Korea. The food was actually pretty good. Food was actually pretty good. I used to see a ton of Korean fish markets on YouTube. They look as good as Japan's. I didn't see a single one. Maybe I was in the wrong spot. So there's that. Lobotomy Corp is the first series in Project Moon's long line of pain and suffering games. But I highly recommend playing Library of Arena because it does add more lore to Lobotomy Corp, as well as explain to you just what the setting of the game is. And Limbus Company is a gacha game set in the same place, but they kind of just do their own thing. Anyway, but the thing I wanted to point out is, yeah, Library of Ruina. So the thing I wanted to point out is that Korea, or at least Seoul, I need to say Seoul because that's where I was. In Seoul, it seems like the way the city is divided is based on what that part of the city is functioning like. So it's like one part is the financial district, the another part is like the convention district, another part is like government and stuff. And in some of those places, this is my impression. So if anyone knows anything about Seoul in particular and how things are divided there, um, please correct me. But my impression is that the big companies in Korea basically control certain parts of the city and have made certain districts um using their money and stuff like that. And so the financial district is like made by a bank, and the government district is probably partly owned by Samsung and Lotte. And with with how Library Arena's city system works, so there's like a bunch of different districts, and each district is headed by a company. It basically feels like that, except basically Seoul is the real life version with maybe a lot less pain and suffering on the surface. Honestly, going around South Korea, I thought it would be, um, it would be a rough time compared to Japan. It really wasn't. I will say though, the people in South Korea compared to Japan are definitely a lot more outgoing, a lot more open. And Japan is, Japan's Japan. They're very reserved. They're very keep to yourselves kind of thing. Except now with tourism, they might be a little bit annoyed about with people. That aside. Um, yeah, overall pretty good. Overall pretty good. The first night though, we were in a. So I say all that to say that I was in a district where it didn't seem like there were a whole lot of tourists, and I think so. I will say I was in the Seoul Botanical Garden area, which has a lot of restaurants around the train station. And unlike the restaurants in Japanese train around the Japanese train stations, they're not catered to mostly just tourists and stuff like that. Apparently, tourists don't typically go to the botanical garden in Seoul, at least in this particular part. And I don't know if that's because people just don't go there, or because there's a convention center there and the botanical garden is attached to the convention center. I didn't get to walk the botanical garden, but it was fine. Was anyone giving you odd looks about that? No, not really at all. So I feel like in South Korea, you get less odd looks from random people compared to Japan. And I'm not sure if it's because they don't care, they're used to it. They do get a lot less visitors than Japan does, but they seem to be, I don't know what the word is. They seem to be like, yeah, you're here. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Let's move on, kind of thing. Um, I feel also, as far as obviously foreign people, I did run into some Malaysians, some Indonesians, definitely some Europeans. Not a whole lot of Americans and Canadians, to be honest. Um, Maybe like one in the whole number of days I was there. Maybe a few, actually, maybe a few. But there's actually quite. I actually met quite a few different type of people. For South Korea, I did what I usually don't do in Japan. I did tours. I did tours to go to the DMZ. I also did tours to go to. Um, there's this one park supposedly that's really famous in Seoul, and they do a lot of drama shoots in there and stuff like that. I keep forgetting what that park is called, but the DMZ was interesting, and yeah, I'll get into the DMZ story later. But let's just say the DMZ was interesting. But yeah, but in the place I stayed at, there were a lot of, I don't know how you call them. They're kind of like izakayas, but they're not. But I know the bar izakaya culture is a little bit different in South Korea than it is in Japan. So I'll call them izakayas unless someone else tells me what the proper term is. But there are a lot of restaurants with outside seating, and I don't think I took a picture of this one. There were a lot of restaurants with outside seating, and it was a Tuesday night, and people were out in full force barbecuing and eating and drinking throughout the entire time. And a lot of places were full. A lot of places were extremely full, which made it one hard to get into some places that I would like to try, and two, a little intimidating to go into, especially when you can't really read the language and you're not sure who can speak English and who cannot speak English. No, I guess I didn't take any pictures of those places. Yeah, I don't think I took any pictures of the outside seating. I wish I did, but I don't know why I didn't. But yeah, so instead I randomly walk. So I was with someone. Okay, so I'm gonna say we every so often. I was with family. So, but we walked around the area across the street from us where all the restaurants and stuff were, just to find what we could get, and eventually ran into this one restaurant that I didn't know what it was until I walked into it, and apparently it is a barbecue joint. And I don't know if I can call it a Korean barbecue joint because you're in Korea. You get what I mean? Is it K barbecue if it's in Korea, or is it just regular barbecue because you're in Korea? But um, apparently they have like, this is their menu. They don't have any other menu other than this. So you need to go in here with a Google Lens kind of thing, translate the menu and pick from it. That basically the Ajimas back here. Basically, Ajimas back here didn't speak a lick of English. They tried, but they were definitely feisty. They were definitely feisty when they tried to explain what we could order and what we could not. And apparently I tried to order something from their lunch menu when I wasn't supposed to, because it's not lunch anymore. So instead I got forced into buying a what's this thing? Can we zoom in? I got forced into buying this 39,000 won set, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. The set, let me see if I can get you a little picture of that. The set was basically, I think 400 grams worth of meat, 200 grams of whatever chunky meat this is. I think they're all beef. I think this is all beef. 200 grams of that and 200 grams of the small slices. And we also got some mushrooms and kimchi, which apparently a lot of people in this place cooked the kimchi. I would have just eaten it by itself. But according to the other tables, you're supposed to cook the kimchi. 39 bucks, let me get the conversion. I think it's about 39 bucks. 1 to USD. 1 to USD. So that was 39,000. Yeah, about 30 bucks. If you want to be accurate, it's about 28. So a little bit less than 30, but still, yeah, no, it's not too bad. I think $1 is worth about 1,300 to 1,400 won, so it's not terrible. It's not terrible. So in Korea and Japan, you cook the meat? Is it for lengthy meals? So since this was a barbecue joint, you cook the meat yourself. If it wasn't a barbecue joint, then they would cook the meat for you. But here, you cook the meat yourself. Now, I don't know if they had a all-you-can-eat menu in this particular one. At least I'm not entirely sure if they do. I don't think they do, because their most expensive thing here is the 59,000 won set, which has 800 grams of meat. And it is a chunky, lot of meat. 400 grams between 2 people, and all the size that we got was plenty actually. So that's okay. So that's okay. 400 grams between 2 people, unless you eat a lot more than that, I would suggest that is perfectly fine. Never seen that in the U.S. There are a Korean barbecue place in the U.S. that you do cook for you do cook yourself. So it's not unusual, but it also depends on where you are. I know when in the last place I lived, K barbecue was starting to become a thing, so did that, and most of the time the K barbecue over there is better done as an all you can eat. However, because of that, you have to eat at least 2 or 3 rounds of meat to make the cost worth it. Here in South Korea, here in Seoul anyway, which I assume is expensive because it's not the countryside. Um, it's a normal thing. The barbecue is a normal thing. There were, like I said, there were a lot of barbecue restaurants in just in the area I was in. So you had your choice, but they also do other things besides just this kind of barbecue. I think they also had, I don't know what it was. They had a bunch of, but a lot of those restaurants had hot plates around each table, and people were cooking for themselves and eating at the same time. So yeah, I think it was just the area. I'm not exactly sure. And I wish I could tell you what the name of this restaurant is, but all I can tell you is that this particular restaurant was back in an alleyway, the kind of away from most other places. And if you found this, great. It's a good spot. If you find a spot out in the open, in the main street, that's also probably good. But you're probably not gonna get in very easily, at least during the time I went, because it is full as heck. And that was a Tuesday night. Though later it was explained to me the reason why I was so busy on a Tuesday night was the next day, Wednesday, was apparently a public holiday, and I don't remember what the holiday was. If anyone wants to check, that day was May 1. May 1 in Seoul, some sort of holiday. So people had the day off then. Probably would have explained a lot of activity. But as far as density of people compared to Japan, it's not too bad. Independence Day. Okay, thank you. May 1 is South Korean Independence Day. But as far as the density of people compared to, let's say, so Seoul versus Tokyo, at least in the place we were in, is not as packed of full of people compared to Tokyo. And I'm not sure if that's because there's a lot more visitors in Japan, or or people are just more spread out in South Korea, or as more spread out in Seoul, which I feel like that might be the case, or just more spread out in Seoul. At least the hotel that I was in felt a lot roomier than a standard hotel would in Japan, and it was expensive. Yeah, it was a little expensive just because we were in the botanical garden area, but I feel like it was, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And still overall pretty good. But yeah, that's how the first night went. Roamed around. The only thing I didn't do was drink soju because I wanted to stay sober during that time. But yeah, and enjoy the barbecue. The meat was, I don't think I got any shots of the meat here itself. Maybe I did. Oh wait, I do. Here's what the meat looked like raw. Shavings of meat that curled up, and then also steak cuts. And what you're supposed to do with these is, if you're not familiar how the system works, you put them in the grill, let it cook for however long you want it to cook. You do have a control for the fire here. It's a little bit out of shot, but there you have a little control for the fire. And you have a scissor to cut it with, and apparently they store the chopsticks underneath the table, which I didn't realize. It's like I was asking, where's the chopsticks? Oh, chopsticks are there. I should have realized that. But yeah, drip pan, pretty interesting system here, and there was not a whole lot of fat about this. Yeah, so about utensils, the only utensils you get for this particular place, and I'm assuming it's standard um in most barbecue places, is you get tongs. You get one tong per person. I don't know why you need two, but in our case, you get one tong per person. Chopsticks are stored underneath the table in a drawer, and that's about it. You don't really need any spoons. You just don't need them, because in most K barbecue places here in the US, you typically get like a bowl of rice to put your meat on, but here you don't. Instead, typically what they do with the meat is you do have a little plate that you can put that in. But what you do is you take this piece of lettuce over here and wrap the meat and also some of the bean sprouts, the kimchi and such, and eat it whole like that. So you got to make sure to cut that meat small enough to be able to fit in your mouth whole. You don't really want to eat the lettuce wrap in 2 bites, because it gets not really messy, but it gets a little bit unwieldy. So yeah, definitely do that. It's nice. You might kind of think, lettuce wrap with my meat. Why would you want to do that? It's a good thing. The lettuce wrap provides a freshness that the meat doesn't have, and it cuts down on how heavy the meat is. So yeah, highly recommended that. Highly recommend that. Don't lift rice bowls in Korea like you do in Japan. Really? Why? I don't think I've had. I don't think I've done that. But why? It's the best way to eat it. Makes you taste the oil less than eating the meat. True. Um, no, in Japan, I don't know. Japan does have a lot of weird manners compared to the rest of the world. Um, the one thing you see in Japan a lot is like, whenever there's a bowl of rice or something with rice, lift it to your face and then shovel the rice into your mouth to make it easier to eat. And they don't really care too much about that. Um, Also, slurping your noodles in Japan, very common thing. They don't really care too much about that. Rice bowls in Korean are made out of steel. Aluminum is gonna be hot. Ah, okay. I thought it was a manners thing. It's a manners thing. I thought it was a manners thing. Okay, no, that makes a lot more sense. I did notice the Koreans use a lot of metal utensils. The chopsticks were metal. I don't know if anyone knows this, but using metal or plastic chopsticks, not the easiest thing to do, especially when you're trying to lift something that is slick. That's the reason why bamboo. That's the reason why bamboo is a thing. Also, I don't. Oh, I do have a picture of it. You see this glass? Metal. Metal glass. That is weird to drink out of. Chopsticks are thin too compared to other Asian countries. I'm not sure about that in particular, but I did notice that the Korean chopsticks are longer than the Japanese ones, maybe by a centimeter at least. Forks for life. I'm not a fork person. Where I come from, we use hands for everything except soup. Hands for everything. Hands for rice, hands for meat, hands for everything. Kamayan. Only plastic utensils that they use in Korea or restaurants are bottles for pouring barley tea. True. True. Let me see. Where is it? Do I have a picture of the other meal? But if you have curry, it's messy. Yeah, for curry you need spoon. You need a spoon. But yeah, that was my first night. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Um, I, overall, though, I think I enjoyed Korea more than I thought I would have, and so I might have to go back there sometime. But unlike Japan, I feel I don't have the need to explore as much in Korea. Just hit the main spots and call it a day. I will say though, the tuna gimbap or the gimbap in the South Korean konbinis, pretty interesting. Also got the samyang, the samyang onigiri, which sounds like death, but it is not death. Actually, not death. I'll explain. I'll explain later. I don't think I took a picture of the gimbops. Oh, I did take a picture of the gimbops, but do I really want to show that picture? Do I really want to show that picture? Hold up. So the interesting thing about the food in the convenience stores over there, it's more or less the same thing as what you would find in Japan, as far as the rice balls and stuff. However, they do have some South Korean um, specialties like the samyang rice ball, which looks like death, but it is not. See that? It is red. It is red like death, but it is actually sweet. It's a sweet-ish kind of death. Sweet and has a little kick at the end, but it's not like the spicy noodles that you might think of, where it is death throughout. It's actually not. It's more like compressed fried rice. From the looks of it, it has some corn, it has a little bit of egg, and fully coated by that samyang sauce, and it tastes pretty sweet and totally covered in seaweed for whatever reason. Red rice reminds me of what my parents call Spanish rice. I've had Spanish rice, definitely not the same type of texture, for sure. Spanish rice is kind of choppy. This one is smushed. At least they're not hot. They're not noodles like Indomie, goreng, onigiri. I kind of want to see that. I kind of want to see that. Speaking of noodles, I didn't get to eat any noodles in Korea, which was a bit disappointing. But maybe next time. Maybe next time. I did want to try. There were a lot of foods I didn't get to try that I wanted to try, like the open face sandwiches, the crazy sandwiches that they make in some places. I also did not get to try um the noodles of any kind. No cold noodles, none of the instant ramen restaurants, which apparently are plentiful. I don't know why, but Korea likes their instant ramen so much. Looked it up. It looks like it should be something for Halloween. Which one? Which one? Let me see. I'm trying to find the gimbap picture. But yeah, that's the onigiri over there. The gimbap. Oh, that's probably because I didn't open it right away. It took a couple of days to get to it, and I probably shouldn't have. I probably should not have. Okay, let's sort this thing really quick. And gimbap. The interesting thing about gimbap is it was pre-cut. I thought this was gonna be like whole, but the packaging clearly shows it was pre-cut. So I should have expected pre-cut. But yeah, it was pre-cut, and probably shouldn't leave this alone for overnight because it had a weird aftertaste later. But if you want like a sushi roll kind of thing, this is probably gonna be your go-to. They do have a lot more interesting flavors to choose from than what you probably find at Japanese convenience stores, because you know they like their kimchi, they like their spicy stuff. So you're gonna see quite a bit more of that. But pre-cut gimbap was not something I expected. I did mention I went to the DMC. My name is not Daria, by the way. Why did Leo Kimbap overnight? Because we couldn't get to it. Plain and simply could not get it to it. By the way, my name is not Daria. Daria is the tour coordinator. The name of the tour guide. There we go. The name of the tour guide that we were with, and so we were called the Daria group. So that's why that one was. But the DMC was interesting. When you think of the DMC, what do you think of? I'm kind of like thinking, was that her Western name? Yes, it was. I think her Korean name is down here, Dawon-jung. Dawon-jung. But apparently, I think South Koreans have a Western name and a local name. So the guy that checked us in the hotel, his name was John. His name was John, but I'm assuming he has a name that is not John also. By the way, in the Philippines, if you run into a guy that has a Western sounding name, that is probably their actual name or a nickname. It's weird in the Philippines. You have a given name, but hardly anyone actually uses your given name unless it's for a official purpose. Most of the time, you go by a nickname, and when I say nickname, it could be something like Cheesy Boy or John or Clowny, or even a short version of your actual name. It's weird. It is weird. I think of security soldiers, a lot of don't do anything stupid and a little happening. Yeah, so the DMZ is actually military controlled, as it should be. um, so you actually did have to go through a checkpoint to get into the DMZ. And basically, what happens during the in the checkpoint is that everyone's on the bus. It was a bus tour kind of thing. Never been in one before, but in the bus, a couple of soldiers come in and check everyone's passports and match it up against the list that the tour guide gives them to make sure everyone is who they say they are and from where they say they are. That's really it. But they come in with their guns and stuff and pencils and whatnot. And yeah, apparently there used to be a lot of other different tours in in the DMC area where they actually go into North Korea, and it was apparently popular with even the South Koreans, where they would actually hike a mountain up there. But apparently someone got shot. Someone got shot, and that's why they don't do that anymore. So yes. There was a case of an idiot soldier running out of North Korea last year, so they're probably a lot more strict now. It's not as strict as I would have expected, but I will say that during that whole time in the DMZ, I was kind of nervous because there was a lot of do's and don'ts. If you were in a place where there was military things going on, like a base or a camp or something like that, if you take a picture, you could get fined or even be sent to jail. So there was that. There was that. And there was also a part of the DMC where it's like you could see to North Korea, and I do have pictures of that. But you can't really see a whole lot, though they did have telescopes that you're supposed to, if you're lucky enough, you can see people. But I'm not exactly sure if you can actually see them. I wasn't able to. Someone said they did. Someone said they did, but I don't know. But it's a bus tour that kind of looked like this. So it was actually a pretty full bus. You can see a tiny bit of the countryside. Yeah, I'm trying to get that picture right now. But during the bus tour, our tour guide, I hope she doesn't mind being put on YouTube, but our tour guide over here was explaining a lot of history between North and South Korea, and like how at one point they only had Busan before before other countries stepped in to help them and stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting to realize that, and it also makes me realize why there's a lot of stuff, especially in the subway system. I don't know if I took a picture here, but if I did, I'll show it to you guys. But in the subway system, there is a bunch of emergency relief cases where they have gas masks, and I don't think they have any food in there, but they had gas masks and other things where, in case something happened, you could break into the cases and use the gas mask to protect yourself. Also, they had videos, training videos playing on the TVs in the subways, saying this is what you do in an emergency. If there's a fire or something else, or smoke or something, go like press an emergency button and stuff like that. You don't see that in Japan at all. You don't see that in Japan at all. Another thing you don't see in South Korean subways is there's not a whole lot of advertising on the subways that I noticed. In Japan, there's like flyers, not flyers, but little things that hang from the ceiling, posters everywhere of different advertisements. In the subway in Seoul, it's more like the TV has some ads on it, as well as the public service announcements and stuff like that, and news, but not a whole lot of posters. And if there are any posters, it's usually something about like, hey, this is happening in the city. Like an event is happening in the city later this month or something like that. But no ads, or at least very few ads that I've noticed. Nothing hanging from the ceiling. And also, I've noticed there weren't as many handrails. I don't know why that is. But the trains don't usually get too crowded even during rush hour, which I found interesting. They do get crowded, but it's not like in Japan where, or at least in Tokyo in particular, where you're like butt to someone during rush hour, which I did not enjoy in Tokyo whatsoever. Don't know if this is still the case, but I remember South Korea in the 2000s, the law against having certain maps of South Korea. I haven't heard about that, so I don't know anything. And Google, and despite what people might say, Google Maps still kind of sort of works in Seoul, at least. So I've heard a lot of people say use Kakao Maps, and I did have Kakao Maps, but I also used Google Maps for the most part, and it still kind of sort of worked. So there was that. People drive more in Korea and Japan, if I'm not wrong. They do. They actually do. Let me see if I can show you a car. I probably can't show you any of these cars because of license plate stuff, but who cares? Anyway, I saw a lot of Kias. I saw a lot of Hyundais. Apparently Samsung also makes a car. They make everything, by the way. Samsung doesn't just make phones and gadgets. They make everything. If you had to name one corporation that controls pretty much most of Korea, it's going to be Samsung. I think after that is Lotte. And then I don't know who else after that, but those are the two main ones. I'm thinking the car companies after those two. Basically, corporations run Korea. Corporations run Korea. And also I don't know. Their apartment buildings all pretty much look the same. This whole blocky thing going on. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, yeah, sure, you see this in Japan too, but it's like I feel like you don't see that as much. I will say though, right before the DMZ, there is a pre-DMZ area that kind of looks like this. It's basically a visitor center with some food shops, tickets to go into the DMZ. Apparently, you have to get tickets to go into the DMZ. I didn't know that was a thing, but you have to do that. And attached to it is a a mini theme park for whatever reason. I do not know why. A mini theme park of all things. But but also the food in the pre-DMC area, pretty darn good. This is fried chicken and tteokbokki. Fried chicken was pretty crispy. The fried tteokbokki is really puffy and chewy. Would highly recommend something bigger than a cup. They sold different sizes, but this is the one I got because I just wanted to try it. Also, tteokbokki and sausage octopus cake. This is not a fish cake. There's an octopus cake. More cake than octopus, but there's definitely octopus in there. You already saw the gimbap. Oh, this was later on in the tour. You visit, like, they call it a farmer's market. It's more like a mini grocery store. But you visit this mini grocery store that sells a bunch of ginseng products and rice apparently, and also a soybean ice cream. The soybean ice cream, depending on where, if you've had one before, the soybean ice creams I've had before were really smooth and white. This one seems to be more like made mostly out of soybean and soy milk, and also very chunky. Like, you can taste the chunkiness of the soybean and the chunkiness and the soybean skin in this ice cream, which was interesting. I do not dislike it. I actually quite like it a lot, but it's interesting. Oh, thanks for the donos. Thank you. I want some soybean ice cream. Yeah, it's pretty good. Hello, Nico CR. Welcome. All right, GNG. Thanks for dropping by. Have a good night. RP name? Okay. But yeah, the DMZ area is pretty interesting. Would recommend it. Highly recommend it. If you go to a DMZ, you will see many interesting things, such as a railroad apparently that used to go to North Korea until I don't know how long ago. Maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago. All right, Neko. Thank you. But about maybe 5 years or 10 years ago, I don't remember exactly what they said. There's a railroad that used to go to North Korea and back, which I think they had like a work agreement with North Korea where they would take in a certain number of people and give them work in South Korea in factories and stuff like that. So, what happened to your VTuber? What do you mean? Well, ever since I became this, I've been PNG for a while. So I'm basically a PNG tuber now. But yeah. Anyway, that was pretty interesting. They also have this thing apparently. Yeah, so they apparently have this thing where I'm not sure if you guys heard about this comfort women. Korean comfort women. It's not just Korean comfort women, but mainly in Korea. There, by the way, did I mention that the South Korean TVs in the subway had news and stuff like that? Apparently, also a lot of I don't want to call it political stuff. There were political stuff on the South Korean TVs, especially regarding the one disputed island between Korea and Japan, and I don't really know what's going on with that island, but it's a thing. It's a thing. So is this over here. They have two of these statues, by the way, in the pre-DMZ area, as well as the mini gift shop all the way back here, which wasn't too interesting to be honest. But the few interesting things though were probably this bridge. It doesn't look anything too special, but apparently this connected to North Korea and people used to be able to cross this, gain freedom and what have you. Apparently there were the way people from North Korea escape now is like they have to go through mountains and other countries before actually getting into South Korea. It's complicated and like kind of don't understand it, like what the route is. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's not good over there. It's not good over there. And there's the DMZ is full of reminders like this, but okay, so this train carries a lot of history, but also if you just look at it on the surface, holy crap, it looks like a really, really cool train with a lot of battle scars. You know what I mean? You see all these bullet holes, those are real bullet holes. Those are real shrapnel. It's kind of good if you're into this battle damage kind of thing, but it's also like, yeah, it's a reminder. It's a reminder that they used to be connected, because this was a railroad track that actually used to run between. So this is Imjingak. It actually went from Seoul to I don't even know what that name is, but this is in South Korea. So they were literally connected by this railroad track, and now it's a tourist attraction in the pre-DMZ area. You see this barbed wire? You see this barbed wire? That barbed wire is actually real. If you go through there, bad stuff can happen. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, lots of stuff in the DMZ. That made me a little bit wary of things. I thought I was also going to be crossing a bridge. I think that's the other reason why, because there's apparently a bridge that you can cross that spans over the ocean or something like that. And I'm not a fan of bridges that span over bodies of water, especially if they sway. A suspension bridge even. So yeah, not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. But prices, as far as even tourist food is concerned, maybe a little bit higher than usual. But the 4.5, multiply that by like 1,000. That's how much you have to pay. So 4.5 thousand won average price for sticks, and then chicken, which was pretty good. And you have like multiple sizes here, stuff like that. Pretty good in general. I did see North Korea. Let me see this. It's hard to tell from this picture, but North Korea is here on the horizon. You can actually see it. This is actually the nearest city that you can see. You can actually see this with your naked eye. But they do have telescopes if you want, not telescopes, binoculars. If you want to see into the city itself, and you might see someone walking around. I didn't see anyone. It was also really hard to use those telescopes. But the viewing area in the observatory was pretty much like this, and apparently there were some military personnel that visited it also. I don't think they were on duty at the time, but they're kind of like half on duty. There was a mix of Japanese, South Korean, and American troops over there, visiting the DMC the day I went. But in the DMC, I think this is in the DMC itself. This is in the DMC itself. So if you take pictures of military stuff in the DMC and they catch you, it's not good. There's CCTV everywhere in South Korea, guys. Just FYI. CCTV everywhere, so you can't really escape. You can't really escape too well. But yeah, anyway, DMC, I'm not sure what part of the DMC. Oh yeah, this is the place where you go into a tunnel. So apparently there is an infiltration tunnel that you can visit in the DMC. Apparently one of 4 or 5 infiltration tunnels from North Korea that they found, which has a pretty interesting story. Apparently they found some people, someone found a tunnel, and like and people in the tunnel were saying they were looking for coal, but no, they were not. They were apparently making tunnels with dynamite and stuff like that so they can get to Seoul really quickly and, stage your attack. So apparently a lot of stuff in at least Seoul was made to prepare for attacks whenever. Whenever. Fact, by the way. I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but guys in South Korea have to serve in the military for at least 1.5 years. Women do not. That is optional. In North Korea, apparently, it's basically a career. You are, if you're a guy, 10 years in North Korea to be in the military. I mean, you have to be there for 10 years, which is a lifetime. And women also have to be in the military, but for a measly 8 years compared to the 10 years. I don't know. It sounds bad all the way. Sounds bad all the way. And I cannot get a picture of the tunnel, by the way. Prohibited, because you have to go through a metal detector, and you're not allowed any bags. You're not allowed any camera. No cell phones. You have to keep them in a locker before you go through. And the tunnel itself that you can go through, I think it's roughly about, I want to say 500 kilometers. So at least the part that you can go through is about 500 kilometers, and then round trip is like 1 kilometer. However, there is a steep, very steep 300-meter pathway that's about, I don't know, 15 degrees, 20 degrees incline going down. And that is, going down is not too bad, but going up, holy crap, that took me a good 15-30 minutes to try to walk through, and I was out of breath multiple times doing that. And also the tunnel, once you actually get into the tunnel itself, it's supposed to be up to 2 meters high. It is not. It is not. I hit my head multiple times on the top of that tunnel, and you are required to have a hard hat when you go in there. I think the tunnel might be on average, what is 5'2" whatever that is. That's the average height of the tunnel, and I am much taller than that. I am much taller than that, so I have to, like, imagine me it like hunching down like those anime grandpas, on their legs bent, and the back bent, hands on the back, so just to steady myself. And I basically got a workout just walking through the tunnel. And at the end of the tunnel, it basically, there's like 2 or 3 barriers to stop an invasion from happening. And you can, if you see through it, you can actually see some foliage, and you can actually see through North Korea, which is interesting. But you can't take any pictures of that because it is military stuff, and yeah, a lot of stuff that you can't take pictures of in that place. But yeah, interesting though to do a DMZ tour. Would highly recommend if you ever find yourself in Seoul. So, but they do eventually want to reunify, but how is that going to happen? I have no clue. But the DMZ is a tourist attraction, as well as being a proper military area. It's kind of weird. But there you have it. Also, a nice tank. This tank is an M48A3 for anyone who wants to know. But to me, it's just a nice tank that was put on display in that place. And yeah. The by the way, the farmers market thing that I talked about, yeah, that's also in the DMZ. Apparently, there's like a village in the DMZ area where there's like, I don't know what they call it. They call it what's a unification? I don't know. But there's a village in the DMZ area where if you live there, you don't have to do any military service whatsoever. But at the same time, you're kind of like at the forefront of an attack when it does happen. So it's like, what you gonna do? I don't know. But they do make pretty good rice and ginseng and soybeans, apparently. I have some ginseng stuff I haven't tried yet. We're probably gonna try it on stream at some point. I have a lot of snacks and food I want to try for do like a food review on stream. I haven't done that in a while. The food review stuff. So yes, and inside rice. Rice bags, 20-kilogram rice bags. If you're so inclined to buy them, but you probably would not buy these unless you were local, because if you try to put that in your luggage, you can't bring anything else back. I don't even know if you can pass rice through customs, now that I think about it. I'm not exactly sure now that I think about it. Okay. But yeah, that was that was basically the DMZ, and it's like a half day, kind of half day. Not so sensitive stuff. The subway area apparently that I went through apparently had a bunch of gacha stuff. I don't even recognize this game whatsoever, but they had that. They had Nikkei, and I keep forgetting Nikkei is from South Korea. So when I saw the Nikkei ads on the walls, it's like, oh yeah, it is made here. It is made here. So that was nice. That was nice to see. But I think I was the only one like taking pictures of these because like, oh wait, everyone else knows about this. Everyone else has seen it already. But yeah, didn't really do much on the next day. Except, what did I do? Oh wait, no, this was the same day. Hold up. This was the same freaking day, right after the DMC, since we didn't have that much time. Kind of packed a couple of days in Seoul, where I forgot what the name of this park is, but apparently it's a park where kind of famous around like a financial district slash government area, but also really busy place where there's a bunch of stalls and shops and a lot of people picnicking. It was their day off and stuff like that, so makes sense. But a lot of people also picnic here in general, so they have like mats, I think, that they rent out from different stalls and food. And this was another tour that I went through, where we would go on a river cruise, and the river cruise was pretty interesting, but also just being able to go around the park and seeing what everyone else was doing, and mostly darkness. Though they did have these lamps. They had these little lamps where it's mostly just lights up the immediate area, heart lamps. I guess there were a lot of couples in the area. And tents, there were tents, camping gear. Yeah, a lot of that. As well as this thing. I'm not sure what this thing is, but apparently it's from a movie. And I wasn't quite sure why this thing was in the middle of a park, but it's... Didn't get quite close to it. I did not want to get close to it. Did not want to get close to it, but the food that night wasn't as good as what I got in the DMZ. There doesn't seem like there's anything here. There's basically a bunch of what do you call this? Bean sprouts and fried chicken that got soggy, so it wasn't very crispy anymore. But there's chicken also buried under these bean sprouts, apparently. Some fries that also were not crispy because steam. Tteokbokki was actually okay. Tteokbokki was okay. Also did some traditional Korean games that I've never seen before. But if you know Ludo, this is basically Korean Ludo. This one is basically Korean Ludo. And we were supposed to be doing the Dalgona thing. I guess where you take a toothpick and some candy and try to poke a shape out of the candy. That kind of stuff. Didn't get to that because this particular thing took a while. Instead of dice, you have these rods where depending on the combination of rods, you move certain spaces, and the goal is to get both of your little circles all the way through. There's a starting area, and you have to get back there somehow. But it's basically Korean Ludo. Basic Korean Ludo. If you're familiar with Ludo at all. But the night in the park was pretty nice though. They had Christmas looking lights, even though it's not Christmas. But yeah, it's nice. It is nice, and the boat tour itself was fairly interesting. I think I have a video on that, but I haven't really looked through it. Some bridges, some buildings. Just seeing the lights at night in Seoul was pretty good, pretty nice in general. So yes, that is a little bit of Seoul. I think the second day, I tried to go to a tried to like go to some villages and stuff. Not villages. There was a thing called a hanbok village. Hanbok is basically the Korean equivalent of a kimono, and they kind of look like this. They kind of look like this. I did not get to wear any of them. It was also pretty warm, despite it being about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So instead, most of the day was just roaming around, running into things like this Cow Friends store with a bunch of really big plushies. I didn't even know this was a thing, but apparently it is. The Cow mascots and all their little gadgets. Apparently, they have a smartwatch, charging stand, and cooling fan, and all the stuff you would expect, like pens and a power bank and a beer foam maker. A beer foam maker. I don't know how this works. I can't imagine how this works. Do you put it on the can and then you spray the foam out? I feel like this goes in the can, and I don't know why you would want the foam in particular. I'm not a beer drinker, so I don't know. But the store itself was pretty interesting. This was inside one of the station. No, this was inside Seoul Station. Seoul Station is pretty big. They had like a food court and stuff on one side, and on the other side they had the rail tracks that kind of act like as their Shinkansen area. So pretty much like this. I guess you can say kind of looks like an airport. But there were a lot of interesting shops there I couldn't visit. So instead, just walk through trying to find this Hanbok Village. And apparently Hanbok Village is not that interesting. Apparently Hanbok Village is just a bunch of small houses where people used to live, or people still live, and I guess make hanbok and stuff like that. I don't know. To me, the more interesting bits were like this random mom and pop shop that sold snacks, and a Michelin star restaurant for Korean ginseng chicken soup, which I think you need a reservation for, and I didn't even know it existed, but apparently it's a thing. I don't know. Ginseng? I don't know anything about ginseng, to be honest. Lots of face masks for cheap, by the way. If you try to get the same face mask in Japan, they're gonna cost you maybe double or triple the price. But in Korea, many face masks for cheap, like maybe about $1 or less per mask. And instead of saying buy one get one, they do this weird thing where they say it's like 10 plus 10. Like you get 10, but if you buy 10, you get another 10. So it's like 10 plus 10. Instead of buy one get one, 10 plus 10, or 5 plus 5, or something similar like that. But yeah, for any face mask enthusiasts, you have the cold juicy orange face mask, the carrot face mask, the coconut, what is this thing? Grapefruit? Kiwi? Lots of fruit face mask? I do not understand. I do not know. It is not my thing. Shea butter. I think that makes much more sense. Green tea, royal jelly, bamboo? I don't understand, to be honest. There's a lot of different ones. Rose. If anyone uses face masks whatsoever. I did notice that at least in Seoul, they don't have quite the souvenir. They don't have the level of souvenir marketing or souvenir shop stuff that Japan does. Maybe Japan is more, I don't know. Maybe Japan just has a way of getting your money easier, but is in Korea it doesn't seem to be quite as extensive. But they do have a few things here and there, the usual random souvenir stuff. You can even get your Shin Ramen and Samyang magnets. Did not get that. Not get that. But, and then whoever this weird guy is. Also, the organic orange juice that I got was pretty good. Pulpy, very pulpy. I'm not sure if you guys like that. We did mention food earlier, as far as eating pretty good. And the food in this one particular restaurant, I think it was just opening up for lunch, and there was no one in there until a little bit later. But it was right across from a handbox shop that apparently you need a reservation for. You can't just have a photo shoot in there. So reservations needed if you just want a photo shoot and not want to walk around the city in a handbox. But if you walk around the city in a handbox, you get free admissions to certain places, apparently. Though, if it's hot, do you want to do that? I don't know. But someone asked earlier if you have to cook the meat yourself. It depends on the place. If it's a barbecue place, yes. This is not a barbecue place, though. I think this is more like a lunch place. So they had like cuts of pork here. That probably was the best cuts of pork I have ever had. Look at that. Thick, juicy, fatty, and actually pretty nice. I'm not sure what this thing is in the middle. It's some sort of a shrimp paste, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I just kind of dipped my pork in there, wrapped it in the lettuce. So this was a set, by the way. All of this for about 34,000 won, or maybe roughly 25 bucks, which is not bad for two people. Yeah, that's a pretty good lunch right there. They also had other things. They had the noodles, they had the cold noodles, but did not feel like noodles that day. Hello, Polony. Welcome. How's it going? Just going over the trip right now. I'm still stuck in Korea as far as the talk is concerned, but we'll be in Japan soon. I didn't really see any temples or whatnot in Seoul, but apparently there's a lot of temples and a lot of Was there more than one palace? I know there's one palace. There's one palace in Seoul, and we did go through there, and I forget what the name of this place is. If you can read this, oh wait, that says information. It says information. Temples and shrines are mostly in Japan. True. Though Seoul does have a few temples, just did not go there. Just did not go there, but they do have a few. mainly in Seoul itself, though, there's like palaces, and this is one of them. And I feel like most of it is fairly preserved or not um, like they're well kept. They're definitely upkept. You can't go into any of these buildings though, because apparently they're that old. They are that old, but they did have a few interesting things that I took note of, like this relief here. I'm not sure what this is, but got two dragons side by side and such. Yeah, as far as us South Korea is concerned, especially if you're in Seoul, highly recommend going around Seoul, checking out the temples and um, the palaces if you're there, as well as the DMC. I talked about the DMC a little while ago, but DMC very much recommended. Very much recommended. If you can find a tour for the DMC, that's the best way to do it. Because I don't, if even if you could drive in South Korea, and even though the tours might feel a little bit rushed, I feel like I was a little rushed in some points of the tour. I think the tour is still the best way to go around in the DMZ because it just streamlines the process quite a bit, especially since you have to go through checkpoints at least twice, going in and coming out. And also you have someone there to tell you what you can and can't do when you're in the DMC, because military area and such like that. But definitely check out some of the palaces and stuff. This was inside one of the buildings. It's pretty dark in here, so I had to turn up the exposure quite a bit, and you can see. I'm not sure what this is. A guest room, throne room. I have no idea. I have no idea, but it is pretty darn old. I'm surprised it's still holding up after all this time. Maybe they fixed it up once in a while, but the architecture inside is, to me, interesting. To me, interesting. But yeah, Korea is a place I did not expect to enjoy going to, but I did. I did. I'll visit again when the time comes. They do have a museum inside the palace area where they show some stuff from back in the day, like this. I don't know. There's like one layer of hanbok, but they have like multiple layers of hanbok. Yeah, South Korea is pretty cool. I think what I liked about South Korea is that it feels different from Japan, because I'm so used to being in Japan and how people in Japan act and think like. But South Korea feels more like a modernized um, Asian country. It feels like a modernized Asian country. They are more or less, I want to say, more or less a little bit more advanced in implementing technology as far as public spaces and whatnot compared to Japan. Japan, they have to be pushed a little bit. They have to be pushed by either tourism or or necessity to implement anything, because they like to be stuck in their ways. Meanwhile, Korea is like innovating, 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 and that's why you see a bunch of stuff like CCTVs and safety things that you don't normally see in Japan. I don't wait. Do I have a picture of the subway system? Do I have a picture of the subway system? I want to scroll through the museum pieces really quick. This was weird. I don't know what this was about. A weird baby on top of a peach? I don't know. I don't know what this is. But it was weird, so I took a picture of it. It's and oh, if you go into this museum, spoilers, by the way, spoilers for this particular museum in this palace area. There is a place where there is a glass floor that you can see down one floor. And when I noticed it, I got scared a little bit because I'm scared of heights. But imagine walking through a glass floor and then you see like this basement looking area where there's a bunch of worn down bricks where I think this used to be a storage area of some sort, but you can't get to it normally, so they put glass on top of it so you can see through it. Imagine seeing that as you're walking and not realizing it. I was scared for a little bit. Ooh, speaking, more pictures from inside that one place. Dragon stuff over here. I guess oh wait, did oh, this is a better picture. There's a better picture. More detail. They're very detailed inside structures here. I would have thought a lot of these places were destroyed during the Korean War, but somehow they survived. So I'm a little confused. I think as far as natural disasters, South Korea or the Korean Peninsula in general, I don't think gets the amount of natural disasters that Japan does. Japan has earthquakes, volcanoes, typhoons. I don't know if typhoons hit South Korea, but if they do, they don't hit them very often. At least you don't hear about that. Instead, they have war. They have war with the North, and that's pretty bad enough. Pretty bad enough. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to show this one thing. So the main department store you'll see in South Korea is Lotte. And Lotte has a bunch of different things. They are a conglomerate just like Samsung and all the big brands in South Korea. And they have a lot, and I mean a ridiculous amount of high-end brands that I can't imagine to buy, and I do not know why people still buy them, to be honest, other than status symbol. The most interesting thing for me in this place was the food court and the grocery area at the bottom, which is not that one. I got a couple of these citron honey stuff, and as well as a fake citron honey. We'll try them on stream at some point, but I got some of this very heavy, small jars, about 500 grams, which is more than 1 pound, and glass. Imagine carrying that in your luggage for about 2 weeks. That's what I had to do this past trip, but it was worth it, and they did not break. So that's well worth. Oh, here's the, I guess, fake honey, liquid tea. They call it liquid tea. I got curious what this one was, so I took one of them just to try, and I don't know if it's any good compared to the actual citron honey stuff, but you know, yes, we'll give it a try. But they do have a lot extensive tea collection in the Lotte, not really supermarket, but kind of supermarket. It's not big enough to be called a supermarket, but it kind of is. Bakery on par with Japan, maybe a little bit more variety as far as what their pastries are. Like I don't think I see this kind of pastry in Japan. This half moon, this apple pie with the lattice shape on there. I don't see that in Japan very often, if not at all. Japan tends to like their soft bread. They tend to like the small dessert kind of things, but they don't really do this kind of stuff. A lot of apple desserts in this particular place, as well as these packaged desserts. Very extensive bakery in this particular Lotte supermarket area. Also, a very extensive food court. So the food court is pretty interesting. I'm not sure how it is in most places, but in at least the US, it also goes the same way in Japan. You have a gigantic seating area where you would like find a table and go to different stalls to order stuff, right? Here in this Lotte in particular, you have different stalls with tables right next to them. Like this one in particular is a shabu shabu restaurant with bar seating right next to it, and pots, individual pots. There's also other different restaurants within this that have the same kind of setup. So you do have the option of eating at a communal table over here, where you go to different places and bring stuff in, or there's also a sushi place down there. They have a conveyor belt sushi here too, where you kind of do the same thing as you would in Japan. But the interesting thing there is they have their own tables, and then they also have the little cafes with their own baked goods, and you have Fat Today, which was an interesting name for for a bakery slash coffee shop, which I have noticed Korea doesn't have as much weird naming sense that Japan does, but they still have it every so often, and this is one of them. Fat Today. And there's also Scoff right over there, which also is another bakery slash cafe. And then you have Mama Cook over here, where they have all the different bonchons, the different side dishes that if you want to, you can grab them and take them to your table or take them for home. So consider this the deli area of that particular place. Again, many seatings. There's a burger place here that you can't really see the sign name. Melting Soul Burger House. Are you ready for Melting Soul with all the different types of burgers? I don't know if burgers are a huge thing here, but they are in Melting Soul. So yes, yes. Yeah, interesting thing in the latte supermarket down there. I also did want to go to a night market. So did the night market thing. Did the night market thing. Oh, by the way, I found the subway picture. So the subways in Seoul are pretty much all like this. You see how the doors are on the right side, where it's fully covered. You don't really see the train tracks. In Japan, even in Tokyo, this would normally not be a thing. You probably have like a waist high barrier at best. But here, they actually have a full barrier with the sliding doors opening. I think you see this in Odaiba, but for the most part in Tokyo, you do not see this at all. Also, notice the complete lack of vending machines on the corner over here. There are, I think I may have counted one vending machine in each one of these hallways, and the most vending machines I've seen in one place is probably at Gimpo Airport, the waiting room there. But for the most part, a few benches, which is a lot more than what Japan has, and restrooms, which are not shown here, and very few vending machines. So it's a little bit different setup, but definitely a lot more intuitive than what you would find in Japan if you're used to that thing. Yeah. Also, transportation in Korea compared to Japan. I need to mention this really quick. Extremely cheap. Extremely cheap. They're like 10%. They're like a tenth of the price in Korea than they are in Japan. If I go from Haneda Airport to Tokyo Station, let me just double check that. Haneda to Tokyo Station. It would take me on the train about 27 minutes and about 510 yen. Not too bad. Not too bad, considering it's actually close to Tokyo Station. However, 510 yen. Keep that number in mind. So that's let's just say that's about $5. Even though that's not the exchange rate, let's say that's about $5. Now, if you go from Incheon Airport, Incheon to let's say Seoul. By train, it does not show the price. Never mind, it does not show the price. However, if I remember right from where I was to like the hotel I was staying at and the Incheon airport, I think it would cost about 1,900 won, which is, let's say, 1,000 per won, 1,000 won per dollar, about $1.90, and that took over an hour, almost an hour to get through. And from one station to another, it's like 10 or 20 cents. Meanwhile, in Japan, if you go from one station to the next, it's at least 1 to 200 yen. At least maybe 150 yen. And that's like about $1 right there. So much more expensive. Transportation in Japan is much more expensive than it is in Korea. The taxis also probably half the price that they are in Japan, because I think for yeah, I think in Korea is I don't know why, but transportation is just so much cheaper. That's the one thing I've noticed. Transportation is so much cheaper. Food prices, I think it's a little bit more expensive in South Korea than it is in Japan, but at the end of the day, they're roughly the same. They're roughly the same until you get to the night market scene. The night market scene, you better have plenty of cash on hand because you will absolutely need them. Average price on food from the stalls is, I think, about 5,000 won. So let's just say $5, less than that, but let's say $5. Well, night markets aren't really a thing in Japan. In Korea, night markets are a thing in Seoul, and there's several night markets that you can go through. I think this is Myeongdong that I went through, and it is packed full of people and also packed full of stalls. But you need a lot of cash. However, cash in Korea a little bit hard to get if you only have a credit card. So make sure to have some cash on you to exchange, and there's money changers everywhere to do that. But yeah, I tried using my credit card to withdraw money from the ATM. Did not have any success in the airport. I tried looking for a 7-Eleven, and the one 7-Eleven I found did not have a working ATM, so I wasn't able to try that. So yeah, have some cash in Korea if you're gonna go to the night market. Otherwise, credit cards are the way to go as far as payment in South Korea. Go to a convenience store, you can use a credit card. You go to a restaurant, more than likely you can use your credit card, unless they say cash only, which is rare. Go to a food stall in a night market. You are more than likely going to be using cash, though there are a few that allow credit cards, but mostly cash. And if you're going to recharge your train card, the T-Money card, you will need cash for that one also. So yeah. But I'm trying to see if there's anything in the night market in particular that stood out. There were a lot of things I wanted to try. Did not have enough cash for this. I think I had like maybe about 27,000 won around this time, and I could not get any cash. So my options were limited to like 4 or 5 things. And I wanted to try all the things, but that just was not possible because I was dirt poor at this point in the trip. I was leaving the next day, but still, dirt poor. Could not try the tornado potato, which is probably overpriced, but it is what it is. And the many skewers. Could not try the other stuff. Welcome back, Neko. Welcome back. We're just going through the night market in Myeongdong right now, and suffice to say, you need cash for this one. 10,000 won, 15,000 won for souffle pancakes on the street. I want to say that's about the on par with the price for in Japan, but you'll never see them on the street like this. Though props for actually being able to do this on the street and actually serving it street food style. Oh, I wanted to try this one, the roasted lobster, but I didn't. I did not have the cash for this. 15,000 won for the roasted lobster. The lobster itself actually seems like a decent size, so maybe it would have been worth it. Maybe it would have been worth it. Roasted lobster with cheese, 15,000 won, and I was flat broke at that time. Flat broke. But lots of good stuff here. If the steak is not good, I won't take any money. Someone was also selling some Japanese Wagyu. I don't know if it's what quality of Wagyu it is, but they were selling some Japanese Wagyu over here. And that's a bold statement to say they won't take any money if you don't think it's good. But I feel like most people would say it's pretty good. Though I can't verify because I didn't try it. Did not try it. I was that broke. I did try the japchae. What else did I try? I tried some fried crab. Do I have a picture of the fried crab? I may not have a picture of the fried crab. I do not have a picture of fried crab. I tried some fried crab. I tried some japchae. I tried some grilled skewers, which was actually pretty big. Actually pretty big, this thing over here. And whatever you want to call this. I don't think I can call it taiyaki, but it's basically... I will call this soft taiyaki because that's what it is. Soft taiyaki with either custard cream or red bean paste. Looks a little burnt. It tastes a little burnt, but it's fine. It's fine. And unlike in Japan, where they'll probably get onto you for sitting on random places, they don't get onto you for doing that here. So that's kind of nice that you can just find a spot, sit there, eat, and be on your way, basically. But the night market was pretty good. Overall, though, for the short time I was in Korea, I would highly recommend visiting it for at least a week. For at least a week. And if you want to try to go to other places like Myeongdong, not Myeongdong, Busan or Jeju, probably might be a good thing to try to go to. Maybe that's where I go to the next time I visit. Though I don't know when I'm going to do that again, because I'm still, for the most part, very much hooked on Japan, and there's a lot more places, at least for me, to explore in Japan compared to Korea. And I think I spent almost 2 hours talking about Korea itself. So, what time is it? All right. I'm gonna try to. I might have to speed run Japan a little bit, but let's speed run Japan a little bit. Let's see. Where do we start? So for this trip in Japan, I went to Hokkaido, and specifically in Hokkaido, I went to Sapporo and Lake Toya, as well as Hakodate. I've been to Hakodate before, and I wanted to explore a few more places there that I didn't get to the last time. And I'm gonna have to explore a third time again because my time in Hakodate was cut short by, or at least interrupted by weather. But Sapporo itself, I was only there for 1 day. I was only in Sapporo for 1 day, but the 1 day I was there was pretty good. I got to visit a lot of places. I got to try a lot of different things in Sapporo. Apparently, there were some cherry blossoms in Hokkaido in general, though I think most of them have already passed. But if you're in Sapporo, definitely try the ramen, the miso ramen, the local ramen, or shio ramen. The miso ramen in this particular place that I went to was pretty good. The gyoza was not quite the gyoza I expected. Usually when I see gyoza served in ramen restaurants, they're kind of like all in a line and fused together, but this is all separate, which is kind of nice and pretty crispy, pretty good filling. Ramen Nobu in Sapporo. Give them a try, but don't overwhelm them if you refer to this segment of the stream. However, if you're gonna go to Ramen Nobu, just keep in mind you're gonna have to go through a bunch of clubs to get there. At least the street I went through had a bunch of cabaret clubs and a bunch of host clubs that I was not expecting to walk through. Imagine going through there with your parents or relatives. They might be fine with it, but if they're not used to it, it gets awkward. It gets awkward. Also, I found a really neat gacha store in apparently a famous area. This is called Tanuki Koji, and Tanuki Koji is a bunch of shopping areas like this one, where there's a bunch of shops on the side. This is Tanuki Koji number 5, I think, or at least the alleyway number 5. And there's, I think, at least 5 of them. There's a 4, there's a 2, there's a 3. I don't know where 1 is, but I saw all of those except for 1. And here in number 5, there is a gacha store. Gacha store with lots of little gachas. The classic cat hat gacha, and a bunch of other ones. Apparently, they also had a Suica game gacha, which I rolled and managed to get what I consider an SSR. Somehow I rolled the Suica on the first roll, and I didn't try again. I was expecting to get a cherry or something, but somehow got the Suica. And now I gotta figure out where the heck I'm going to put this thing, because where would you put an acrylic stand of a Suica? I do not know. But they also had the keychain stuff at the time. Lots of interesting gacha. Remember, guys, gacha in Japan is not just about anime. It's about random weird stuff like cats and mice in kung fu poses, as well as dinosaur bones, as well as go-go curry keychains for whatever reason, a Korean restaurant theme gacha. I didn't know that was a thing. This one made one of my friends feral with this one. What show is this? Gegege no Kitaro. I think that's what it was. But yeah, check it out. If you see a gacha store like this, check it out. You might find some interesting things that you might not have expected, like a mini Uno thing with functional cards, but they're so small. Would you really want to use them? Also, I don't know, a very sexy gorilla, a DILF gorilla, if you want to call that. I don't know what this is, but it's a thing. It's a thing. Anyway, I wasn't in Sapporo for very long, so decided I wanted to visit a couple of parks because I did not know what else to do. And there were some cherry blossoms around. And there were a lot of people walking in the park. Apparently, there was a baseball game here too. This is Maruyama Park. Maruyama Park in Sapporo. You have to go through the train station, past Odori Park, and you find once you get out of the train station, you have to walk a little bit to get to the park itself. But the park itself is pretty darn big. And they still had some cherry blossoms at this time. I don't think so. There were some cherry blossoms that were not in bloom yet, and there were some cherry blossoms that were in bloom. This one obviously in bloom. Lots of small shops. This is the map. Apparently, a lot of people also go here for the zoo. There's a baseball stadium that I mentioned. They were very loud. They were very loud. I was hiking up here on Mount Maruyama, and I could hear them all the way from up top. They were that loud. Granted, the mountain itself wasn't very tall, but it was still quite a bit of a hike, so I was surprised to hear them there. Hokkaido Shrine, also a very interesting place to check out. Would highly recommend hitting up all these places if you get the chance. At the time in Sapporo, it was 17.8 Celsius. What is that? I think that's about 60 degrees, maybe 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Maybe not quite 70, but about 60, which is nice and chilly. But once you get walking, it starts to warm up a little bit, as well as a bunch of tulips. A lot of tulips were out in small garden plots. I did not know this was a thing, and less that I realized, I didn't know that tulips were a winter spring flower that grew in cold areas. I don't know what this thing is. Morning glory, I think that's what this is. I don't know my flowers very well, but they kind of look like blueberries hanging on the stems and such. But there was a lot of flowers. A lot of flowers at this park. Also, a lot of people having a picnic and drinking and stuff like that, as they should during a picnic. Let's see, what was I? So I did a little bit of hiking while I was there, and be very careful if you hike Mount Maruyama, if you're ever in that area. This first set of stairs should give you a clue on how rough it's going to be. First of all, the stairs are not even at all. Handrails there for a reason. Use it. And catching animals are strictly prohibited. I would hope so. Bears, supposedly? I don't know. Didn't really run into any bears. I would hope not. But it is a very... It doesn't really show it here very well. The pathway on this particular picture, it does not show how steep it is, but this is quite the uneven climb, and I had to catch my breath several times because of how rough this is. I don't think it's more than 1 or 2 kilometers one way, and maybe round trip it took maybe almost 2 hours up and down total. 2 hours total up and down. But there's a lot of obstacles along the way. It's like gigantic tree roots and a lot of statues. Lots of interesting foliage if you're interested in that. But for the most part, it was kind of I wouldn't say steep, just very rocky and very you have to be sure of your footing, otherwise you could slip and hurt yourself. I don't think you would necessarily die until you get to the very top, which I did not make it up to the very top because it got a little bit too narrow for my taste. Like right around here. I think I was nearing the top here, but I don't know if you can tell how wide that road is, but it is very rocky, and my footing was very unsteady. I was not equipped for this hike, and did not get enough chance to rest in between, and very rocky as far as this part's concerned. And there's a cliff that you don't see to the left over here, that if you fell, I think you would hurt yourself really, really badly. Maybe not die, but you would hurt yourself really, really badly. So be careful. There's a thin path up here, thin path down here. Once you get to this part, I think once you get to this part, you can safely go back. The trail itself, I wouldn't say it goes in a loop, but it goes out one way and you come out a different way if you go through the entire thing. But it's still a nice day hike. A nice day hike. And when you get down, you can probably reward yourself with some onigiri and spam musubi. which was pretty decent, pretty good, pretty good. But apparently, since there was something going on that day, there were also a bunch of stalls around the shrine area. I'm not sure what that was about. There were a bunch of stalls around the shrine area and selling the usual stuff, yakisoba. This was a mini shrine, I think. Not the main shrine. But you can see there's a bunch of stalls, and in one of the stalls they sold an interesting Sakura Nikuman. Sakura Nikuman did not really taste anything too different from a regular Nikuman. They did have some sauces on the side if you really wanted to add sauce and stuff. Like this was their shop. This was their shop. And I know I've been doing the Wanikani recently, but there's a lot of things here that I still cannot read, or at least the combinations of stuff I cannot read. Oh, Hanami, so flower viewing. Hanami, I don't know this kanji, I don't know this kanji, something. Butaman, I guess. Pig? Pork? Pork bun? Butaman? I don't know. I haven't seen this kanji before. We're back in Japan now. Yes, we're in Japan now. I'd spent 2 hours talking about Korea, but we're in Japan now. We're in Sapporo, where there's a bunch of shops around the Hokkaido Shrine. Tried the manju there, the sakura manju with an actual sakura blossom. I don't know if it did anything to the flavor, but it's pink, and the blossom is well, it's kind of flat. It's flat. It'd be doing this kind of number. Itself, it was pretty good though. Though I think there were some noodles mixed into this meat bun, which was interesting. Not sure why. There's a road in front of the Hokkaido Shrine, and I'm not sure if you can see. There's some cherry blossoms out. It's a little overexposed here, but there's some cherry blossoms out. However, not all of them are out at the time. But you can see them there. And I didn't realize there were different kinds of cherry blossoms, like white cherry blossom and the pink cherry blossom that everyone seems to expect. These are kind of like the whitish ones. But since it wasn't in full bloom, you don't really get that impressive line of cherry blossoms down the lane that you would expect here. I think it needs another week before you get into full bloom. Sure, it's a little difficult to tell. It's a little difficult to tell, but the shrine itself and stuff was pretty interesting visit. Overall, though, I think I liked the places I did go in Sapporo. I wish I could explore a little bit more. But if for one thing for sure, I would recommend going through Maruyama Park. I would also recommend visiting Odori Park, which is basically right in the middle of the city. Like if you see this radio tower, you're basically right around Odori Park and around Well. Anyway. Wait, what was that? What was that? Where's crap? Where's my pictures? Anyway. Let's see, where did I put them? Crap, I lost my spot. Where did it go? This is not Sapporo, that's still Korea. Anyway, in Odori Park, it's a pretty nice chill area. Lots of people just hanging around and chilling. Especially on a nice cool day, would highly recommend going through here as well as just watching the random performers. Check out their Instagram, June. I think I took a video of them. They have an Instagram, they have a Twitter. Check them out. Ice cream. Got some ice cream here. Milk ice cream, corn ice cream. Corn ice cream didn't really taste much of anything, but the milk ice cream would highly recommend. Highly recommend the corn ice, the milk ice cream. And that was very rich, very creamy, very rich, very creamy, and it holds its shape fairly well. I know it was kind of like a cool day, but still would highly recommend. This one though, this one would definitely need someone to help me eat this. There's this ridiculously large parfait that I saw in one shop that's basically as tall as a small child. And I do not know why anyone would try to order this. I think you need like a group of people to finish this off. A giant parfait of ridiculous proportions. If this wasn't enough, you can also try these smaller ones, but even the smaller ones are kind of big. How much do these things cost anyway? This regular parfait over here is 9,500 yen. This one with the cake and melon is 14,500, which is pretty expensive. You could probably go for this other melon one, the smaller melon one, for almost 5,000 yen, and it would be manageable, but it's also pretty expensive. I don't know if I would recommend it. I don't know if I recommend that one at all. I do not know, but yeah. Overall interesting time in Sapporo. Definitely. I don't know if I would like I don't know if I would stay there longer than a few days. You can probably use Sapporo as like a place where you, what do you call it? A place where you would like use to go to other areas like Otaru. Otaru is a town next to Sapporo that a lot of people visit. I did not go to Otaru this time, but Otaru is a place you could go to. And I don't know where, I don't know. If you like the city, I guess Sapporo makes sense. Me personally, I only stayed there for the day because it wasn't really my. I mean, that wasn't the goal of the trip. The goal of the trip was to get back to Hakodate. The goal of the trip was to get back to Hakodate, but in going to Hakodate, I did stop in Sapporo. I also stopped by Lake Toya. Lake Toya, which apparently has some really nice scenery. Something that looks like Mount Fuji in the back, but it's not really Mount Fuji. That's Mount. What was it called? Yote, Mount Yote. It kind of looks like Mount Fuji, right? Just at a glance, but it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not Mount Fuji. Yeah, the Mount Fuji at home in Lake Toya. Shikotsu Toya National Park. Apparently, it's a national park, but it also has a bunch of onsen hotels around it, as well as a couple of cruises around the lake. So I don't know. Somehow a national park, but also a tourist destination with some foot baths, which I didn't get to use because I did not have towels. But I did find this. I did find a Pokemon manhole cover over there. I think this might be the second Pokemon manhole cover I've seen ever. But there's a few. There's a few. If you look at manhole covers, the manhole covers in Japan, always nice to see them. Manhole covers in South Korea, I didn't see them, but they're just regular manhole covers. But yeah, did a boat tour there. It was pretty interesting. It was not really my thing. Boat tours aren't really my thing. Hidden gems of the road, yes, absolutely. I think the nice thing about just going to Hokkaido around April/May is that it's a cool place to be. Like as in temperature wise, it's pretty cool. Though even Tokyo around this time was not bad. And I usually I usually am not fond of talking about Tokyo's weather because it tends to be humid and hot. But even at this time, it's actually not terrible. Um, I will say, because this was at the tail end of Golden Week, maybe prices for some hotels were a little bit on the expensive side. But yeah, Golden Week prices tend to skyrocket a little bit as far as that's concerned. But eh. Anyway, some food I got, some udon with tempura and a bunch of random meats. And apparently this side dish, which it does not look apparent, but we have some pickled radish, the yellow stuff up here, and then down the middle, I think that might be some sort of clam. It felt it felt it tasted clam like, but I couldn't quite tell. And the bottom over here is actually potatoes. Like pickled shaved potatoes, which I did not expect. Did not expect at all. Now this is not mine, but if you were in the area that in one of the restaurants over there, they do serve a sakura latte for the season. Apparently, it tastes very sakura-ish. I'm not sure what that tastes like because it ranges from okay to not so okay, or at least not. It ranges from okay to it's so light you can't really taste it. But if you're a latte person and you're there during sakura season, get the sakura latte. It might be worth it. Might be worth it. Also, check out the random stuff they have for sale. I think like spoon rests, chopstick rests of many various shapes and sizes. I just kind of want to collect these, but they're so expensive, and I don't even know where to put them once I actually have them. So it's like, what do you do? I do not know. These puzzles, yeah. So like these little, I think these are hand carved wooden puppies and stuff like that for 1,300 yen. Cute, very cute. I just don't know where to put them. If I had a house and had like a display case, I could make the case for I could like see myself doing that. But just like that, not so much. Not so much. And like I said, it is Sakura season, so you could still see some Sakura in Lake Toya. That's not a Sakura, but you can see some Sakura in Lake around the Lake Toya area. But most of them have not bloomed yet. Like you can see here, the Sakura flowers have not bloomed yet. Is what they look like. But once they finally bloom, they look nice. But they don't last very long. So this is why when I tell people to visit Japan, don't try to aim for cherry blossom season because you're not likely to see it. At least not in full bloom. If you go to Japan for cherry blossom season, make sure to get an idea when they're possibly bloom, and then you might be able to see them. But it's not likely. It's not likely. At best, you'll probably see a few trees here that have bloomed, maybe some trees here that have not bloomed, but an actual full bloom. You're probably going to want to stay around the area for at least a couple of weeks in hopes of getting a full bloom. Though if you're going around the end of April to beginning of May, Hokkaido is the last place you will find cherry blossoms blooming because the rest of the country has already had them. And it's really, really tough to catch them. If you want, though, to get a nice seasonal view, don't go during cherry blossom season. Go during the fall. And when I say fall, around November. November is usually when you'll see fall leaves start showing up. Even up to December. But Hokkaido again, a good spot fall leaves around November. So yes, and November tends to be like not really an off season, but people tend to visit less in the fall because everyone wants to go in the summer or spring. Spring for sakura season, summer because they want to climb Mount Fuji. But fall leaves are everywhere. And while there's not any one particular place you would probably go in the fall season, there's a few. Um, but in the fall season, you can just kind of go anywhere in Japan and have a nice view. And the fall leaves stick around for several weeks compared to sakura, which after maybe a week or two they die. Maybe a week at best, they die. And if a storm comes through, they fall off. And yeah, it's just kind of it's just kind of a waste. I don't know. It's kind of a waste. I try to get some nice close up shots there. But yes. Okay, so in Lake Toya, I mainly went there for the onsen and the dinner buffet in this one particular place because why not? I'm not gonna lie, this particular trip was kind of splurgy all around. So this is going to be a quick overview slash review of Nonokaze Hotel, Nonokaze Resort in Lake Toya, which overall I would give it a solid 9. It's not perfect, but it's a solid 9 for the experience and everything. So yeah, when they check you in, they give you like a complimentary drink. Uh, take your pick of coffee or juice or alcohol or whatnot. They give that to you. They also give you some snacks here. I got the cherry juice. This is apparently a cherry juice, and the cherry juice was like extremely smooth and sweet and did not taste artificial like the canned cherries at all. The room itself, though, very nice and comfortable. I usually opt for a Japanese style room, but for this one, decided, hey, why not just get a Western room for once and see how it is? And I think in a Japanese style room, you would not get these sofas. It would be definitely more traditional. The beds would definitely be more like the what do you call it, the futons. But the bed was pretty good. The lounging area was pretty good. Uh, since they do have an onsen, all you get in this place is a shower stall, so no bath in this particular place. Yeah, so it's just a shower stall and I guess a sink area for one person and the other. Which has I guess stuff for guys and stuff for girls. But the view outside was pretty nice. You can see the lake, and you can see the main mountain over here in the background, as well as some islands in the middle. So overall view was pretty good. Amenities were pretty good. This coffee, by the way, over here on the side, is whole bean coffee. That is whole bean coffee that you have to grind yourself in the grinder that they provide in the room. I don't think we tried it, but yeah, it kind of shows you how fancy this place is if they give you whole bean coffee for your coffee kit down here, which they usually don't give you whole beans. Also, the fancy toilet, super fancy toilet. Does it work any better than any of the other bidet toilets? Not really, if I'm being perfectly honest, not really. But it's a fancy toilet nonetheless. It didn't open though as soon as you go into the bathroom, so I'm not sure how fancy that is. Because if when I expect fancy toilet, it opens when you go into the bathroom. I've seen some of those. This one doesn't. So is it really that fancy? I don't know. The shape is interesting though. Of course, the complimentary yukata and bathrobe and sleeping wear for when you're there. I think you get to keep the socks. You get to keep the socks. You get to keep the this bag. You don't get to keep the yukata. Sadly, you don't get to keep that. Every time you went to the bathroom, yokai opens the toilet lid for you. Probably. Probably. The main highlight for me on this place, though, the onsen was pretty good. It's not the best onsen I've been in, but it ranks up there. And at least in my top 5 onsen, it ranks up there. But the buffet, is where it's at, if you ask me. Now, here's the thing about normally when you go into a ryokan type of place. When you go to a ryokan type of place, you usually get a kaiseki meal, which is a course meal of maybe 5 or more courses, served throughout your dinner. In this particular case, you could opt for the kaiseki meal, or you could opt for the buffet. Obviously, the reason why you would want to get a kaiseki meal is you want to experience a traditional dinner, basically a traditional fancy dinner. But with a buffet, you get to have as many of the stuff as you want within, I think our time limit was 90 minutes. They give you a time slot that you should be at dinner. For this particular place, you don't get to pick your time. In some places, you do get to pick a time for dinner, usually 6 or 7. Here they had us go in around 5 to 5:30, 5 to 5:45, which is pretty early for dinner. But that was the time we were given. We didn't get to choose it, so that was probably the one downside to this place. But their selection, I would say, is, while not super extensive, it is fancy AF. They have like a cooking area over here where they serve, what is this thing? Some clams with meat, tomato sauce, Hokkaido bouillabaisse soup. I have no idea what a bouillabaisse soup is, but it looks like that. Maybe minus the bread. You gotta get the bread elsewhere. You gotta get the bread elsewhere. But they got some fancy. Oh, there's the ice cream section. No one cares about that. Dessert section. Someone took a chunk out of the matcha already, but they had the pastry chef here cut some slices of cake for you on some parts. Otherwise, if he wasn't there, you could also grab some of this stuff at the bottom. Lots of different jellies, seafood, some clams on a half shell, marinated ever so slightly. Also more clams. I think there's a surf clam on top of some sort of mousse. More fancy stuff. I forgot what this is. I think this is salmon or some sort of other fish. I want to say it's salmon with some lemon and some other garnish. Shrimp flavored with white wine. Basically drunken shrimp. I don't know how the white wine got in here. Did they boil it in white wine? Did it soak it in white wine and then boil them? I don't know. But these are drunk shrimp, and I think I ate a couple of them and was a little bit tipsy after that. I'm not that much of a lightweight, but if you soak something in wine long enough, it's going to hit you one way or another. Salad section, no one cares about that. Some other small things. Cherry blossom tofu with jelly. I don't think I tried this one, and I kind of wish I did. Anyway, fancy presentation all around. Prosciutto was actually a lot darker than this, but it's just my lighting was terrible, so it's not raw. But for some reason, they also had some fancy chips. I don't know why that was there. Cheese was pretty okay. The Toya Blue Mojito, it's non-alcoholic, by the way. This stuff in the jar is non-alcoholic. Apple tea was pretty good. Salty cherry blossom and plum lemonade, also pretty good. Got lots of fancy food here. Lots of fancy food. Small things. The thing to keep in mind here is that because you didn't pick the kaiseki dinner, and just because you're in a buffet, doesn't mean that you take huge things in the buffet. There's a lot of different stations. So the best thing to do is get like small little things from each place in the buffet. And basically, it's choose your own adventure kind of kaiseki thing. And if you still have stomach for everything after one round of going through all the place in the buffet, then maybe you can start on gorging a little bit on the stuff that you really liked. But I think after the one round of everything, you might be pretty full. I was pretty full by the end here. Some shells with pre-cut meat already. These are all veggies, so if you're a vegetarian in this particular place, you wouldn't be you're not left out here. Though they also have the tandoori chicken as well as some pork. Here's the fancy bouillabaisse thing up close with the clam. The clam is empty, by the way, because the clam meat is already outside. But the servings look small, but it adds up. Just keep that in mind when you see all this food. It's not like you're getting a whole platter of sushi and putting it on your plate. You could, would not recommend it though. Definitely would not recommend it. If you like sashimi, they've got the fish sashimi, herring, I think, herring, salmon, and octopus. Octopus was pretty good. Tempura, if you were so inclined. They also had like a Chinese section apparently, because there's a lot of Chinese tourists that visit. And I would not touch the Chinese section because why would you? You're here for the local food. Why pick the Chinese section? Miso with crab. I was expecting to have like full crab in this place, but apparently it didn't have any of that. But they had a lot of shrimp tempura, really good shrimp, and some local vegetables. The sushi and the sashimi were pretty good. Overall, nice experience for this place, and you can kind of see how big this area is, though this is like only one section of it. Dessert was also pretty nice. That they had a lot of cheese, mousse, and stuff like that in their desserts. Definitely would recommend. I was a little bit disappointed by this ice cream. I've had really good ice cream in Sapporo. This tasted more like a regular soft serve. It did not have the richness that the ice cream in Sapporo had. So it's like, what the heck? What the heck was that about? I don't know. And apparently there were some fireworks also in the lake at night, and honestly, it was not impressive at all. Basically, what the fireworks show is, it's like I think they have a fireworks show every night, but there's this one little boat that goes around the lake shooting off fireworks in front of all the hotels. But the thing with that little boat is it doesn't fire off fireworks like continuously like you would expect in a fireworks show. Instead, it shoots like one firework, wait 5 seconds, shoots another firework, wait 10 seconds, shoots another firework, and some of the fireworks are not impressive at all. So it's like, why even have it to begin with if you're not gonna put like a spectacular fireworks show? I get it, fireworks are kind of expensive, but at the same time, why even bother if you're gonna do that? But that's not a fault. That's not a fault of the hotel. That's more like a thing that the area just does, and I don't know. I just wasn't impressed. I just was not impressed. Breakfast though was a little bit more. The breakfast did have some fancy stuff too. A bunch of different jellies as usual, like in the morning. Ham, mushrooms were actually pretty good if you like mushrooms. They had a bunch of different mushrooms cooked. Lots of different breads and desserts. Cinnamon rolls in Japan. I was not expecting a cinnamon roll. That's not something you usually see. But here you have a bunch of that. a big tub of yogurt. Remember, we're in Hokkaido, but yogurt is also a staple in Japanese breakfast, apparently. Uh, but here you have the sour yogurt, and you can put some sugar and other toppings on it. But also because you're here, also you have a lot of pudding, Hokkaido pudding, which was really good. I had two of these, and some smooth cheese. I didn't realize it was smooth cheese until I came back and looked at it. But I tried this, and it's basically drinkable cheese. It's very, it's very drinkable. And of course, the Hokkaido milk, which, to be frank, it didn't taste that different from any regular whole milk. But if you haven't had whole milk in a while, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Drinkable cheese, yes, there is such a thing as drinkable cheese. I found that out during that buffet. I did not know that was a thing. Nochi, what the heck is nochi? I do not know. But you have usual breakfast items that you would probably find in a Western place. But here, it's just breakfast. They also pudding. The pudding was good. Very soft, very creamy. Milk was milk. Milk was milk. I don't know how else to describe it. But breakfast. They also had some dumplings apparently, which was pretty good. Omelette was pretty good. The almond pancake was pretty good. They also did have some sashimi and such for breakfast. Let me see. Did they actually have it? Omelette in the making. Not kichi kichi level, but pretty good. Miso soup, some really soft boiled eggs. Here it is. So we have some minced salmon for whatever reason. Minced salmon, some squid sashimi, and some glass noodles. I feel like there was something else here, but those are the two main things there. Minced raw tuna. Not raw, raw tuna and salmon. Cod roe. Oh yeah, there was some cod roe there too. Some mentaiko. And salt fermented squid. I didn't realize it was fermented. The usual Japanese breakfast items: burdock, sauteed burdock, some more veggies, fried, not fried, but you know, pan salmon and stuff like that. Really soft egg, really good pancake. What can I say? Did not try the beer, but I show this here because I want to like show that they had a local beer for the area, and if you were here, give it a try if you're interested. Personally, it was not. Personally, it was not. Let's see. They had some other stuff. Clam chowder, which I don't usually see outside of Japan, so that was interesting. It's not the chunky clam chowder you would have in some parts of the U.S. It's more of the smooth clam chowder, which is apparently is closer to what is normal in Maine. So that's interesting. Onigiri, if you're so inclined. Jellies, cake with, I think this is a mousse. I'm not sure. I think that's a mousse with some chocolate on top for breakfast even. They also had some salt ramen for breakfast. It's not a big bowl. It's a small one. But considering that you're in a buffet and you have all the other food around you, I feel like a small bowl of salt ramen with some scallops is not a bad thing. Like, I know you would probably expect like a gigantic bowl. They don't have that. Instead, if you want a gigantic bowl, just grab several of these to equal one gigantic bowl. But you also will be missing out stomach space on all the other stuff that you could try in the buffet. Just saying. They also had some different drinks in the morning that were different from the night selection. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Not gonna lie. No, I couldn't take a picture of the regular bath because, you know, photos and stuff. But I noticed that they had a different bath that no one was in, so I quickly went in, snuck a few pictures, even though they say not to. Don't be me. Don't be me. Don't be sneaking pictures. But I did it anyway because it looks so interesting. It's such a different feel. It's such a different setup than the regular onsen bath. This feels more like a Sento area. And the resting place looks like a Sento area. You got the old timey TV. You got the complimentary ice pops right after the bath. I didn't try any of these because I was leaving at the time, like checking out the hotel, and I didn't feel like eating this after a heavy breakfast. But the Sento area is basically what you would expect an oldie style Sento area, and and it has a lot of charm to it. What can I say? It has a lot of charm to it. Do I kind of wish I tried this one? Maybe, but a Sento really isn't a Sento without a whole lot of people, and most of the people went to the actual onsen bath, which was pretty good. Not gonna lie, not the best one, but pretty good overall. So yeah, that was the onsen trip. That was the onsen trip, and then eventually we get to Hakodate. Back in Hakodate for the second time, which apparently also had some Sakura Miku, like actual Sakura Miku campaign stuff. I don't know what this is about, but apparently it's a cherry blossom campaign, even though the cherry blossoms around this time in Hakodate have mostly passed. And also in Hakodate, I lost a couple of days because the day we got there and the day afterwards, it was raining. It was raining, cold rain throughout, and it was hard to go anywhere. So I had to find a bunch of indoor stuff to do because all the other stuff I wanted to do was outdoors. I wanted to go to the park, that was outdoors. I wanted to go on top of the mountain, that was outdoors. It was windy. Could not exactly use the cable car to get up there, and cable car is the preferred way to go up that mountain instead of regular hiking it. So it's like, okay, let's find some indoor stuff to do. What indoor stuff do we do? Um, by the way, I just need to show this picture of the not it's not a hotel room. I guess you can call it an apartment hotel. It's a nice homey place, which I would recommend trying to look for something like that for a few days. So what do we do for indoor activities? We look for souvenirs. A really stuffed squid. Apparently, this one has a boiled egg inside, stuffed into a squid. Scallop elegance. I do not know what this is, but apparently it might be some sort of topping or something. I don't know. Topping elegance. Also, these birds. I don't know what they are, but they're everywhere. Apparently, in the souvenir shops. Things were everywhere. Um, souvenirs. There's lots of souvenirs everywhere in Japan. You don't see I don't see this as much in Korea. Which on one hand, your wallet is safe in Korea. On the other hand, I kind of just want to see all the displays and see all the different kinds of souvenirs that they have for sale. And because this is Hokkaido, cheese and dairy products are a huge thing, as well as seafood products, by the way. Cacao Cat, apparently a chocolate brand over there. Do not know what it tastes like. They're really nice looking cake with many layers. I do not know if you'll feel all those layers, but the layers may or may not make a difference. I don't think I noticed this in Hokkaido Station the last time I went there, but this time around, they do make the senbei, where they put like a whole squid or a whole shrimp onto a press and a little bit of batter, and then squeeze it. And what it basically does is it spreads the batter and spreads the filling that they put in there. In this case, squid. It spreads all around and makes this gigantic senbei. Now this is a very thin. This is very thin compared to the one I had in Kamakura, but it's still pretty good. The one in Kamakura was like a lot thicker than this, for sure. Like at least 2 or 3 times thicker than this one, and had a lot more crunch. This is more wafery, which is not bad, but I like the crunch. There's a crab one as well. I don't think I've seen a crab one, but I've seen shrimp. I have seen squid, and I think I've seen taco, small taco, but taco nonetheless. Crab one. If I find a crab one, I think that would be pretty interesting to give a shot. I did get some souvenirs from here. Not this one though, but I did want to show the I did want to show the salmon the stuffed salmon. But got some of this squid Ika. This Ika cheese. The squid with stuffed cheese. We're gonna hopefully try some of that on stream if I don't get to it first. Got a few of those. I'm not sure what this one is. This apparently is some sort of uni thing. Hokkaido uni, but I don't know. It's a sauce. Hokkaido uni sauce, but I didn't get it because I wasn't quite sure what it was. Yeah, I didn't see the sauce until now, which is more than a week later. It's like, what the heck? But they had a lot of this stuffed squid, and I showed you one with egg in it. A lot of them also have like sticky rice stuffed into them, sticky marinated rice. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. I think this one might have some corn in it because there's corn in the packaging. So squid stuffed with various things. Octopus tentacles, which I wish I could take back with me, but you can't take that back with you because it's fresh and it's not going to survive the luggage, especially on a 12+ hour travel. But I think one of the best things I've gotten from the souvenir shops was this thing. It is a really, really soft cheesecake. I don't think it's even a souvenir thing in particular. You can buy it as a souvenir, but you can also get it just for yourself at night. And this is a very, very delicate cheesecake. Like you barely press on it, and it's already indented. But this is like a very, very delicate cheesecake that needs to be refrigerated. Otherwise it goes bad pretty quickly. Would recommend some tea with this. Speaking of tea, my corn tea has gotten way cold now. Oh yeah, my corn tea has gotten cold. Oh well. But they had like several flavors of this. They had like a regular cheesecake. They had the sakura cheesecake. But it's like very delicate. Would highly recommend it. For the most part, as far as food in Hakodate, Hakodate is known for its morning market. And the morning market, you have several of these. Let me go back here. You have several of these stores in a particular area where they sell donburis with fresh seafood and stuff. The donburis tend to be really expensive though, like anywhere from 2,000 yen to almost 9,000 yen, depending on what you put on there. If you have crab in your donburi, you're making it more expensive than it needs to be. I'll be perfectly honest with that. You're making your donburi way expensive if you put any sort of crab meat on there. Like this one in particular, almost 3,000 yen for a very tiny donburi with some uni crab meat. I guess that's pretty good overall. There are some that are more egregious in pricing. I mean, keep in mind there's also a tourist area, but also some regular people come here to just eat breakfast. It is basically a breakfast place. So, but they won't. But if you're a regular person here coming for breakfast, you wouldn't probably buy the donburis. just because they're that expensive. Instead, you would probably get something like this, like a regular plate with some uh, either grilled or tempura, fish and veggies, rice, miso, under 2,000 yen typically for this kind of thing. But also pretty good. It gets you set up in the morning. It gets you set up in the morning. The more expensive stuff you can find in the morning market, though, are crabs. Of course, crabs. Depending on the crab, your wallet is gonna cry. Actually, even if you get the hairy crab, which is this tiny one over here, your wallet still might cry. Your wallet will definitely cry if you try to grab one of these king crabs, though. The king crabs go anywhere from 9,000 yen per kilogram to, I think I saw 20,000 yen per kilogram, depending on the size of the crab. And they're not small. They average around 2 kilograms, and I think the heaviest one I saw was 4 kilograms. So imagine spending a few $100s on crab pretty easily. It's a thing. It's a thing. The morning market has several areas. This is just one of the indoor ones, and for the particular time that I went there, it was raining. Indoors is good. You want to stay out of the rain. You definitely want to stay out of the rain. This particular part, though, has a squid fishing thing, and depending on the season, you have two different kinds of squids. In this season, they have a spear squid, otherwise known as a yuruHYPE. And you're basically, for 1,000 yen, you get to catch one squid, and they prepare the squid in front of you. So it's actually pretty hard to catch these things, because what they do is they give you like a hook with some barbs, and you're supposed to hook the fins of the squid. But these things swim pretty fast, and the hook is not a very accurate thing to try to, what do you call this, maneuver in the water, because it's basically on a string, and you're guaranteed one catch, but you have to be able to catch it. And so if you're trying to go for a big squid, you either are going to be there for a little while and holding up the line, or if you don't care about that, you're going to be holding up the line. You're going to be probably trying to maneuver the barb to catch the big squid. And I tried to grab the biggest squid I could find in the tank. However, they move so fast that I just kind of gave up and went for whatever I could catch at the time. So eventually, this is the squid that I caught. So yeah, and then I have a small video on this. I'm not gonna. I guess I can show it. It's probably gonna be loud though. Let's see. Nope, it's not. Can we do this real quick? It's I don't think I can. Nope. I'll figure that out later. Anyway, but yeah, the squid prep is interesting to say the least. I'm not sure if anyone here gets squeamish with food prep in general, especially when it comes from raw. But yeah, actually watching this is it's pretty nice. Let me see. I think I can actually do this. Let me see. Media source. It might be loud, so I'm gonna have to lower the volume. I do like watching seafood prep. Seafood prep is like very interesting compared to like meat prep. I don't know. I think like if you're doing a meat prep and you start from the whole animal, it gets a little bit sad, but at the same time, you have to go through the process to do that, to eat them. But for seafood, because seafood tends to be really quick, it's not as bad. I feel like it's not as bad. Okay. Hold up. This might be loud. And I don't know if it's gonna play, but let's try it. There's no they're pretty fast with I know when you see videos on YouTube with a squid head. Let's see, where is it? Do I have a picture of the squid head? I know when you see pictures of YouTube and the squid head that you put soy sauce on here, it activates electrons that are still activates the sensors and stuff that are still in the squid. It makes it seem like it's still alive, but it's already dead. It kind of like wiggles and stuff around like that. You don't really do that here, but the tentacles, if you dip them in soy sauce, they will still move a little bit. So you can still kind of get that, but you're just not doing with the head. There is a restaurant though. Let me see if I can find the restaurant. There is a restaurant though that does that. In the same area where you get the breakfast I showed you. There's a restaurant that does that that's pretty famous for that. And they put the squid head on top of the donburi. And if you put soy sauce on there, then it's gonna do the whole dancing thing. If you eat sanakji, it's way more active than yuruHYPE. Let me see. Why would that be the case? Why is I mean it's seasonal. I feel like it's seasonal what kind of squid you get. It's because there's a bunch of tentacles on here. Oh, it's octopus too. You see, that's kind of dangerous though if you eat tentacles when it's still moving, because everything all the sensors are firing off still when you do eat it, and you have to wait for it to calm down if you want to eat it safely. Otherwise, if you eat it at the wrong time, it gets stuck in your throat, and that's not good for you. Definitely not good for you. But I get where you're coming from with that one. Yeah, also octopus tentacles are thicker than squid tentacles to begin with, so they will move a lot. They will move a lot. Except we don't have that here. At least not in Japan. I don't think they do octopus tentacles like they do in Korea. But anyway, most of the time in Sapporo was spent indoors and looking through souvenirs and shops like that. There was a couple of times I think on the day before leaving, did manage to go outdoors and actually see some nature and such. But for the most part, it was mostly just indoors. And oh yeah, this is still part of it. Got some ice cream, squid ink ice cream, which did not taste like anything at all. It just tasted like regular vanilla ice cream, to be honest. But the parfait with the not parfait, but the sundae, I guess. The sundae with the ice cream gelato and whipped cream and full strawberries, that was pretty good. Very fresh strawberries. And this ice cream shop is inside the market also. So kind of hard to miss unless they're closed. Kind of hard to miss unless they're closed. So Squid Ink Soft Ice, 500 yen. Got the limited time ice cream over here because it was strawberry season also. So recommended getting the limited time stuff. Otherwise, they have plenty of other flavors to choose from. and here I was just creeping up on other people's crabs, trying to see how much they weighed and stuff. But these are not cheap. These are not cheap. King crab, 9,000 per kilo. Though in hindsight, I probably should have done that. Oh well. Maybe I'm gonna be going to Hakodate a third time anyway because there's some stuff that I couldn't get to because of the weather. But as far as other stuff I got here, other stuff I saw, lots of snow miku, lots of sakura miku. Apparently that's a thing in Hakodate. I'm not sure why. Yes, Hakodate in general. You don't see this in Sapporo. But there's a lot of snow miku products. And really sussy underwear. And melon bear. If anyone's familiar with the melon bear, and as well as the cute cookies that you can see in dessert shops. Sometimes you just want to see the cute cookies. Like, I don't know how good this actually tastes, but just seeing them, that's enough for me. I don't really have to buy them. Look at this underwear though. Look at this underwear where you could like that you can get the guys, and the advertisement here. Well, not the advertisement, the label here is like, hey, the turtle's coming out. Turtle's coming out. Snow Miku is more of a Sapporo thing, probably. It's just not in season because Snow Festival's in what, February? Yeah, February. I don't really go for shirts, but did that. Also, grab some ramen I haven't seen in a very long time. So this is a ramen I got 9 years ago. My first time in Japan. I found this one in Donkey in Shibuya, but they haven't sold it in a very long time. So it's like, how else do I get my hands on this? Because on Amazon, this is like ridiculously expensive. But if you go to Hokkaido, you will find this for a lot more reasonable price. And it is not bear ramen, okay? It is Ezo Brown Bear brand ramen, but it is not actual bear ramen. It's just miso ramen or shoyu ramen. There's also a salt ramen, but this is a very rich. There's a very rich ramen, and we'll try some on stream because I got several of these. They also have an uni and crab. I'm kind of curious what these taste like. Got a few of those just to try. I haven't seen these ones before. I've seen them online, but I've never actually seen them for sale. I think this polar bear one is the same thing as the same brand type as the as this one, the Ezo bear, but this is polar bear shio ramen. But I think it might be the same brand. Maruyama Zoo in Sapporo apparently has a ramen too, so thought I'd give that a try. And as this one, this bird ramen, I'm not sure what the heck it is. I think it just might be salt ramen, but we'll give that a try too. Zom ramen is not a Hokkaido only thing. I think I've seen this also in Kyushu, but it's so gimmicky. I don't even know if I want to try it. I don't know. Zom ramen just sounds like something I do not want to try. Also, 500 yen a pop. Okay? Zom ramen is not cheap. Zom ramen is not cheap, so I don't even know if I want to try it. But, I didn't buy it this time around. Maybe sometime. Maybe some other time. But yeah, rainy for the most part. And it doesn't seem too bad in this picture, but it was pretty bad. I was soaked through pretty much the entire time. So, yeah. That was not fun. That was not a fun day, but kind of had to do stuff because, you know, you're visiting and you really don't want to what do you call this, waste the day. So instead did some window shopping at some old warehouses. So Hokkaido used to be a, what do you call this, a port town that traded with, I think, Denmark or one of those European countries back in the day. And they made these warehouses near the harbor. And the warehouses aren't really used as warehouses anymore. Instead, they're now used as shopping areas. But you can still see the old bricks around around these places. They have the wear and tear in them, um, and you can kind of see the open spaces now. But they're now basically gift shops and mall areas which is nice to just roam through, see what you can get. And they have a lot of the same stuff as they do in the around the station. Japan is actually really bad about this, where they sell the same merchandise in multiple locations in very close proximity to each other. So it's like, which one do you go to? Whichever one sells it for cheaper, or you know, whichever place you're at any particular time. So, but Japan's really bad about that. But in any case, they're just nice to walk around and see what's up for sale and such like that. A lot of these things you probably won't buy or can't buy anyway. But oh, these ramens I think I tried last time. I think I got some of these shrimp and crab ramen the last time I visited, and I tried them off stream. They were okay for the most part. They were okay for the most part. Nothing too spectacular. But I do want to try some other ramen on stream this time around. Strawberry Azuki. Why would anyone make this? Did not get it. I think for anyone who knows me on this channel already, I have a distinct dislike for Azuki beans, red beans. And if you put red bean and strawberry together, I don't know what kind of monstrosity that's gonna create, but I wasn't gonna try it. Also, I wasn't sure if I had enough space in my luggage to even get it anyway, so I didn't do that. But yeah, lots of window shopping, lots of cute stuff, lots of random weird decorations around the shops, like a giant woven squid, which I gotta give them props for to make for that thing. Welcome to Hakodate. You should be here. You should be here in Hakodate. I also found this gigantic bear. This gigantic bear that rivals the bear that they sell in IKEA. Except this one is 80,000 yen. So what is that? What is 80,000 yen? I think it's like almost more than 500 bucks for this gigantic bear that they sell in a shop. So yes, that is one of the other things. But Lucky Perio apparently is one of the is a Hakodate diner brand that is not I don't know if it's popular, but it's definitely a thing in Hakodate. They have a lot of curry and burger items on their menu, and I don't really know what to make of them, to be honest. They sell other stuff too. They also sell like omurice, but burgers it's more like a burger place with curry is my feel for this place, and I don't know how else to describe it. But if you do get it, I think the katsu burger is pretty good. Burger. I'm not sure what the Love Live here was, but they have the katsu burger was pretty good. The shrimp burger is pretty good. If you get the shrimp burger in McDonald's, it's more like a shrimp patty made of little shrimp and batter. Here, it's 4 separate shrimp in a bun, which makes it a little bit harder to eat, but I do appreciate the bigger shrimp sizes in this case. And then you have the katsu burger, which is made out of pork and looks like it's a pretty nice crispy breading on it, with some lettuce to help that. But as far as what the actual place looks like, it's gonna look something similar to this. You see this weird this weird clown and this logo, and the outside is generally decorated in this bright yellow and blue and red, and they don't all look like this. Different locations will look pretty different, but apparently the shop has been around since 1987, and I don't know who came up with this idea, but it's working for them all these years. So it's like, okay, you do you do you on that thing. But yeah, it's not like, again, not very obvious how blustery and windy it is, but it was very wet. It was very windy. The outside the warehouses kind of look like this, and I think there's like several of these warehouses around this area, but only 3 of them I think you can do shopping and stuff in. But yeah, very wet, very blustery. Also, what do you call this? A music shop. Hello, hello, unknown name. I forgot what to call you because your name's not displayed. Welcome back, by the way. Just going through the last bits of the Japan portion of this trip. Jande. I need to write that down. Jande. Why does it show up as question marks though? Why does it show up as question marks? Canola? Okay. Let's see. Okay, this part's probably not gonna be as interesting for you guys, but I enjoyed it because finally we got a nice day to go out. A nice sunny day, maybe a little bit windy, maybe a little bit chilly, but finally made my way back to Onuma Koen, which is not too far away from Hakodate. Last time I went here, it was fall. The fall leaves were pretty nice, and I think I did a little bit of live streaming at the time. This time in spring, there are a lot of flowers around this park. All right, we'll go. I'll try to remember it. But yeah, there's a lot of flowers blooming around this park in Onumokoen, and honestly, it was a little hard to walk around here because it was very chilly. Lots of flowers still yet in bloom. There were a few cherry blossoms here and there, but this is not mainly a cherry blossom area. I'm not sure what kind of flowers are mainly here. So what's going on here? I'm going over the trip I went to. I did in the past couple of weeks, which feels like a dream at this point because now I'm here streaming and explaining what the heck I did the past couple of weeks, and I'm not even sure if I dreamed this entire thing, but there's pictures and stuff that prove that I was there and I saw all this stuff. But I took a bunch of nature pictures in this particular park. Yeah, we're in Japan right now, but I also went to Korea for a couple of days. Should have been 3 days if I didn't get, what do you call this? If I didn't get detoured by a storm. But because of the storm detour, I had to reschedule for the next day because missed the connection. I did say this was a weird trip. Nah, not North Korea. I do not want to touch North Korea, but I did go to the DMZ and saw North Korea. So there's that. I don't know, I did say it was a weird trip overall, but mainly the weird part of the trip was like all the weather related stuff, like the rain in Hakodate, the storm before even going overseas. What else was there? I feel like there was also a bunch of little things that happened along the way, but I didn't really think too much about them. So nothing really to. If I pointed them out, I feel like I'd be complaining a little bit too much. But anyway, I also tried a bunch of food. I splurged quite a bit this time around, as well as tried a bunch of ice cream in the middle of the freezing weather. I think it was like around 8.8, 8.9 degrees Celsius around here. So pretty chilly, but I still tried the wine ice cream. There was a wine flavored ice cream, which actually did taste like actual red wine. Also tried the melon ice cream, which was, holy crap, really, really good. I could still taste the melon pulp in this ice cream, which is not what I expected at all. I thought it would just be like melon flavored, but I wasn't expecting melon melon pulp in the soft serve, which was very much welcome. And for some reason, we still have maple leaves, red maple leaves, but maybe because it's cold, that's why it's still there. Some sussy peach squeezy toys. I don't know if I don't know what if it's supposed to be actually peach, but it looks like something else. You can imagine what that might be. Eating ice cream during a cold winter makes you feel like a badass, even though you actually look at it. No offense. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. No offense taken. I feel like I was crazy to even do that to begin with, but did it anyway. And also, has anyone here heard of a thing called guarana? I don't think I've ever heard of guarana before, but apparently it's a plant around Japan, maybe. I don't know. I've only seen this. This is the only time I've seen it, but it's apparently this thing, which kind of looks like a bug fruit kind of plant. And if anyone can read Japanese here, here's the whole history of guarana. But apparently it started something in 1958. America no ko, that's not coca, a coca plant, I think. And then they made it into a cola, and then it's now this thing. I don't know how to describe the flavor other than it tastes a little bit like cherries. It tastes like cherries, even though it's not a cherry. It doesn't taste It doesn't taste sweet like a cherry juice might taste like, but it had like a cherry-ish flavor, and it's hard to really describe it unless you actually try it yourself. That's the best I can say about that. Anyway, I tried that. Also, I tried some crab. Really expensive crab. I didn't get the big crab, but I got some of these small crabs over here, and eating that thing is a pain in the butt. So if you can afford it, I highly recommend the big crab. The small crab's also pretty good, but the amount of time it took to get into the meat of these things definitely took a little bit more. Apparently some of these crabs also have like ribbons tied around them in this particular shop. I'm guessing those are reserved for something. I'm not sure what. But you could also get these giant Alaskan king crabs. I think someone tried to buy this gigantic not Alaskan, just king crabs, Japanese king crabs. So I think someone tried to buy this gigantic king crab over here, and the shop said something along the lines of, no, you can't buy that one, either because it's reserved for someone, or they keep it in the shop as you know, to just have around. But you can have the smaller ones. The smaller ones are sellable. Have you tried the one of those soft drinks where there's a little ball blocking the hole? The ramune? Yes, I have. You can actually get that pretty easily in the US. But it's interesting. The ramen is refreshing, but I wouldn't say it's a fun thing to drink. it's a fun thing to drink. I'll say that much. But I kind of wish I could see how heavy this gigantic crab is, but I don't think you can buy it. I think this particular crab might be pretty heavy, maybe 5+ kilos. The ramune. So if you're getting like just regular ramune and not any particular flavor, I think it tastes a little bit like a Sprite, except it's not Sprite. If that makes any sense, it has a lemony flavor to it, but it's not Sprite-ish. Anyway, the big crab was too expensive for my blood, so instead I got some shrimp over here. I think they call this shrimp sashimi, but it's basically parboiled shrimp and served over ice to keep it fresh. And this was pretty good, not gonna lie. That one's pretty good. Basically what you do with this is separate the head, eat the tail, and if you really want to get into it, then you can dissect the head and scrape out all the good stuff. There's still some meat in the head over here, and avoid all the guts, because you don't want to eat that raw. I wouldn't. I definitely would not. But as far as the crab goes, got the hairy crab, which is the smaller crab and not the gigantic one. It took a while to eat because it has a lot of small parts, as you would expect from a small crab. But it was pretty tasty. Though if I had to go do it again, I would definitely go for the bigger crab. But look at how hairy this thing is. It's got a lot of tiny little hairs all around it. And I'm not exactly sure what it uses them for. And so many of them. But as far as this place goes, they cook it either barbecue style or boiled. We asked it for boiled, and after they boil it, they crack the claws and legs in half. They crack the claws and legs in half, and basically you open up like this, and then you can scrape the meat out. Pube crab, no, please no. Eventually, though, you get tired of eating just crab and working on the crab, so got some squid too, but the squid was really good. Actually, if you just order squid from this place, I think that would be a pretty good meal, considering everything else. But the crab was eventually demolished, so I'm happy with that. Though, if you really wanted to, they also sell crab legs for you to take home, and you can cook them yourselves. Probably a lot more reasonable than buying the whole crab in the shop, because you have to pay for service on that one too. They served mainly water or hot tea. And the hot tea was pretty good. Hot tea was pretty good. Honestly, there's not a whole lot more I can show. There's definitely more bakery shops, more sakura flowers that I took in another park. There were a lot of sakura petals on the ground because of the rain that passed by the couple of days before this. And most of the flowers in this particular park basically look like this. So I showed you a cherry blossom tree where the flowers haven't budded yet. This one, the flowers are done. So the one with the leaves here, or the one with the petals here, that one's still okay. But this one doesn't have any buds left, and they're all kind of fell down. But there were a few trees that somehow survived. I'm not exactly sure how, or maybe they bloomed a little bit late. Late bloomers. But that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. ducks are everywhere in this park. But yeah, that was pretty much it in Hakodate. Though I guess the one last thing I did try was this chuhai with milk. Apparently, it had 20% milk and 3% alcohol. Chuhai and milk was not a combination I ever expected to try. And yeah, let's just say that it was sweet, a little bit fizzy, and sweet, but it's not like it didn't taste like it should work, but it did. Now I think most people when they come into stream just listen in, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. It's not you. I think people just like to listen in for the most part, and I'm okay with that. I'm just basically yapping anyway. I'm basically yapping anyway. Other than that, basically went back to Tokyo afterwards, and really didn't do a whole lot. I was only in Tokyo for one day basically, or not even one full day. Basically, after what do you call it? After Hakodate, flew into Tokyo the next day, and did some really quick shopping and walking around the night of, and that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Yeah, questions, go ahead. Let me see. I'm trying to look for some other pictures I could find here. Oh yeah, this thing. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have a lot of food pictures, so you'll get a lot of food pictures. No reaction. I don't care about Sans. I could not care less. So soup curry. So you've probably seen Japanese curry a lot, and it's like this thick sauce over rice. Soup curry, on the other hand, is basically what it sounds like. It's soup, but curry. And a lot of times, I guess it depends on the shop, but this one had like rotisserie chicken that was like really tender. So what I did for this one in particular was just scrape off the meat off the bone, put it in the soup, and then plop the rice into the soup. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to eat it, but that's how I ate it, because I'm not gonna be taking like a spoon of soup, drink it, and then take a spoon of rice and eat it afterwards. That's just not me. I mixed everything in this bowl, and that's just kind of how I roll. That's just kind of how I roll when it came to that. But yeah, as far as Tokyo itself, though, I went to Shimokitazawa. Welcome to Shimokitazawa. Put soup and rice. You could also, but it's a small plate, so I wouldn't do that. Shimokitazawa, if you guys are fans of Bochi, this is where Bochi the Rock was based on. And I did not see the bar itself, but I did look up the bar, or the live house, I guess, where the show the show takes place in. And they don't appreciate people coming in and taking pictures and just leaving. Well, I get it if it's a busy day, but if it's like in the morning, if it's in the morning, I don't see why why that would be a problem, honestly. But I don't know. I feel like a bunch of otakus have done that, and apparently annoyed the local businesses around the live house, and so they said, "Nah, don't do that. Don't do that." So, but this is where Bochi is, by the way. So just kind of roamed around here, took some pictures of seemed like interesting, like 100% American beef in Japan. I don't know why. As well as French fries volcano, a French fry parfait, where you have a regular parfait stacked with waffle fries, curly fries, a bunch of different fries. You do have regular parfaits over here, but French fry volcano from a shop called Burgers Tokyo. Probably worth the trip just for that. I don't know. Probably. Shimokitazawa takes a while to get to. Actually, a lot of people dip French fries into ice cream, so you would have to talk. You would have to take it up with them as far as that's concerned. So, what's the next logical step of putting French fries in ice cream? Make a parfait with French fries on top. There you go, sweet and salty. And personally, not my thing to do, but a lot of people swear by it. So give it a try sometime. Give it a try sometime. I also visited a place I haven't been to in about 9 years. I met some couple of friends here 9 years ago for the first when I was in the first time in Japan. In this place called Hanbei, but this particular Hanbei shop is in Takadonobaba, which is right next to Waseda University. And I don't know, it's just a very nostalgic place for me personally, because it looks like a 50s bar basically, and with some really really cheap prices on the menu. But you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for this. It's like really cheap prices for fairly small but somewhat filling serving. So you got a bunch of yakitori, chicken skewers. So I got some kushikatsu. Some also they give you cabbage for free. But I also got some okonomiyaki and some dumplings, which are a lot smaller than the dumplings you would normally get. These are like half the size of dumplings these days. So yeah. Yep, they dip fries in ice cream. Yes. Yes. Anyway, that was basically my Japan trip and slash Korea trip. It was way too short, to be honest. It was the trip itself was way too short. Barely even a 2 full weeks, if only because there were some issues with weather, and also even during the trip there were issues with weather as well as just weird little things here and there that doesn't even I don't think I even remember too much anymore, but the weather stood out to me the most because they caused a lot of delays and it was just a short trip in general. So any delay during the trip just made it a lot tougher to enjoy it for me personally. So it's like, whatever. Whatever, it is what it is. And I just have to figure out when I can go next. Either after I quit my job, whenever that might be, or what. Not Hiroshima, Hakodate. I did not go to Hiroshima at all this trip, though Hiroshima is a pretty nice place to visit. Anyway, that's all I got for that's all I've got for that. I was trying to like not go through every single picture like I would normally. I was trying to. Okay, if you say that again, I'm gonna have to time you out for that one. That's uncalled for. Anyway, I was trying not to go through every single picture, but I just kind of got into it. So apologies for that one. But yeah, if you want to see more pictures of what the trip was like, you can definitely. I think I made a community post with the link to where you could see the pictures, which is mainly going to be on Twitter. I don't know if you can see them if you don't have an account, but that's where they are because I don't use my Instagram really. I put some pictures on there and it just I just could not. I just could not. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the little walkthrough and some stories here and there. Um, I do have some souvenirs that we will be checking out. I do have some souvenirs that we will be checking out. Maybe do some snack review and stuff like that. For some of these, like these combat rations, I got a couple of combat rations in a DMZ in Korea. So I'm kind of curious about trying that one. We'll definitely try. I don't know if I want to try these squid snacks on stream. I don't think they're that special, to be honest. But we might try one of these. Might even try making some soup curry on stream with some of these packs. What else? Well, I do want to try at least one or two of these ramens on stream. That might be of some interest because these ramens are kind of rare. This ramen's kind of rare. And these are just my groceries. Don't worry about the groceries. Don't worry about the groceries. Oh yeah, if you're ever in Japan, um, do try to look up B-side label. They have some really nice stickers that you can collect and put on everywhere. Put in your luggage, put in your book, put in your computer, what have you. I just like collecting these because they look pretty cool. They look pretty cool. They have multiple locations in different places, but Shimokitazawa is I feel like fairly accessible. I know they have a shop in Ueno, but I keep forgetting where it is because it's not a B-side label shop, but they sell B-side label stickers. So it's like, where the heck is it? But they have locations all around Japan, so check them out if you haven't seen them. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got. Okay, so that's it for the stream today. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening and participating in chat if you did participate in chat. As far as plans for this week goes, I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow, but if I do stream tomorrow, it won't be Bakery Girl. I don't want to start Bakery Girl until at least next week, just because I'm still kind of in vacation mode. But I am streaming today because I wanted to talk to you guys about the trip really quick before I actually start doing all the other stuff. But if I stream tomorrow, it won't be Bakery Girl. It might be actually catching up on my kanji reviews because I have a lot. I have a lot. I haven't touched one ikani since I went on vacation, and I think my reviews are nearing 1,000, and I should probably do that. But I don't know if I want to do it tomorrow, if I want to do it later, or if I want to stream at all tomorrow. I don't think I have anything else I need to take care of personally, but if I do, that might mean I don't stream anything tomorrow. That we will see. We will see. I do want, because of the souvenirs I just got recently, I do want to stream some food reviews. So there's going to be some hand cam stuff I want to plan for the next couple of weeks or so. Trying some food on stream. It's been a while since we've done that, so I feel like there's a good time to do it again. And Mahjong is not going to be this week. It's probably going to be next week. So for any people who drop by Mahjong night, just keep that in mind. I do want to stream on Friday, but I'm not sure what to stream. It might be something small. So I do have some streams planned, but I might not post them until I know for sure I'm going to do them. So at worst, you're probably gonna get stream notifications, video notifications, 2 hours before I actually start them. For this week anyway. Next week we'll probably be back in full swing as far as our regular schedule. Though I do need to reduce it from 4 days to 3 somehow. But we still have Wagotabi to finish up. We still have Bakery Girl to finish up. And now we're probably going to be doing food review, snack review for the next few weeks anyway, until I feel like there's nothing left to review from the stuff I just got. So that's kind of the plan. That's kind of the plan. But we'll see what we actually do for this week. It's gonna be more or less guerrilla. Treat this week as guerrilla, but at the very least, maybe expect something on Wednesday and Friday. That's pretty much it. All right, thank you all for coming, guys. Again, see y'all later, and have a good rest of your day. Bye bye, everyone. See ya.